Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Friday night's Friend Fest. Up in Milwaukee, they're having the Flat Out Friday, so I decided we'll have our own little thing going on here. So, if you're new to the channel, we're all slightly deranged here. So, you'll see some one old face and one new face. Bleak doesn't get to join us very much, but we got him tonight. And then the Mad Yankee. So, say hello, guys.
Evening.
What's happening?
All right, so tonight we're going to be discussing. We're all going to Forgotten Angels this year. Yankee, you are going, or you're? What worked out? You will be making
I
it
am
to
in
this.
fact.
Hell yeah!
Yep, I am going to the March one. I don't think I'll be able to make it to the October one though, due to the way things are working out. But I should be flying down in March and renting a bike, and that'll be fun.
All right, so yep, we'll both be there, all three of us. So tonight's discussion, and if you got anybody in the chat who has really good lighting and sound and camera, I forgot to turn my camera off. If you guys want to join, you're welcome to. What we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about things to do in Tampa during Forgotten Angels, like day rides, places to go and eat, places to go get a nice cold beer. So we're going to talk about those things. So if you haven't yet, I mean, I think everybody in the chat already has, but if you haven't, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. Check out Bleak Rides. Mad Yankee's got a YouTube page coming. I think he put a couple things on there, I think. But you're definitely your Instagram. You get a lot of stuff on it.
Yep, it's a work in progress, but we're slowly acquiring the equipment that will be needed for actually making some content. We actually got a camera situation, and we got something else coming in the mail, hopefully from RevZilla this Monday. That might make that whole process a little easier.
Nice. And so, Dad obviously will be part of this channel because it's funny watching your dad. It's just like watching you. The day that you weren't here, you had to go do something, and while your dad stepped into the camera, it was like talking to you. It's like you're like two peas in a pod.
He's basically me, but older and with like a goatee, and like slightly more on the Boston suburb towny angle.
Right on. So tonight in the chat, we've got Angel Face Motor Rider, Sick Bastard, My Pillion, Buck Brown. We've got Motor Mortician, Hello Mark. And who else we got? So, and then Ray Shoemaker. So, what we're going to talk about tonight. So, Bleak, have you actually been able to make it all the way down to a camp before? I know you tried one time and had problems with the Kawasaki. Yep. You've seen places to go down there. Places. Where do you want to check out when you get there?
I'd like to kind of do the whole pilgrimage. I'm going to go hit up the Dirty Shame. I mean, you're going to be down there, might as well. And then I'd kind of like to maybe even I got a whole day to play with. I could take off for the coast and see what's down that way.
Yeah, it ain't far from the coast. Very close. So, yep. I have already checked out Coppertail, and it was fantastic. The food there, magnificent. The brews were awesome. Obviously, we were on motorcycles. I was with GMAR Rides and the Pillion and Sky. So we didn't get to drink a lot there, but we did get some beers to go. And whatever they have on draft, they also have in a can to go. So whatever you like there, you can take with you. But I wanted to make it to the Shame, but everybody was going to the Shame. And if you've ever seen it in video, it's a very small place. So I'm like, yeah, we'll pass on that one. But then we did go to OC Roadhouse, and it was fantastic. The food there, magnificent. So highly recommended. But we're going to talk about places we still want to go to. So Yankee, you've been there 3 times?
That sounds about correct. Three times, yes, 3 times.
So tell us a place you've gone so far.
So one place that I've actually gone that hasn't been mentioned yet, I think, is a little joint called Born Free Pub and Grill. That's over in, I think is it actually in Tampa, or is it like more towards
Gibson? Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Although I don't know if it's open anymore, actually, but it might
knows.
Be. Yeah. But that was that's Dean's place, and if you've been to the camp house, you actually may have met Dean. He's provided a lot of the libations in times past. So, looking now, I'm actually not sure it's open anymore. But if it is, I'll definitely make a stop back there because he's a very, very fun guy to hang out with, very fun person to talk to. So, but I know me and a couple other people. I think Chase has actually been there with us once before too. So that's a good one. Another really good one that if we're making, let's just cut right to the chase and just call it the Shade Tree Army pilgrimage. But if we're doing that, you got to go check out River's Edge at some point.
Yep, I have talked to him about going to get in Snot in a Rock this when I'm there. So I'll get there because I have so many people to pick up. I'm coming in a day early, so we may make that pilgrimage on Thursday, if people can get there. Because yeah, I'm gonna try to get there the night before, and then make it on Thursday, I guess, because I do want to go to River's Edge, and I want to get there before Friday and Saturday because everybody will be trying to go there Friday and Saturday. So.
Yep, sounds like an idea. I should be flying in super early on Thursday. Hopefully, I'll get everything picked up as far as the rental goes, and then I'll be free to go wherever.
Yeah, if not, there's plenty. I mean, there's plenty of places to go. You obviously there's going to be groups going everywhere, and I think the theme now is to try to take smaller groups because when you go out in bigger groups, it's just asking for trouble. So like smaller groups of 5 to 10 is perfect. And everybody can do their own thing. And then obviously we have to do the breakfast. At least one morning we have to go do the onesie run and go to the scrambled egg because that's just a thing. They have the best Bloody Marys. Fantastic Bloody Marys.
Yes, they do.
Very nice.
So that's what I'm looking for. Sammy Gito stepped in. Sammy, welcome in. Angel Face, I'm not sure how long this is going to go. So the plan is to cut this off. We're trying to go stop this after 2 hours. I mean, it happens if it doesn't. But if you can't make it, I get it. If you can't stay that long, that's fine. Journey of Jerry, welcome in. Yes, the OCC has great food. So, other than food, what's there to do in the Tampa area? Obviously, you got to make the pilgrimage to Burt's.
Yes,
Burt's
I would like to go see that. It's heralded as this mecca of motorcycles, and I don't know how I could not want to go see that. I mean, just the showroom floor as described or as pictured in many people's videos is massive. It looks like what we'd have at an auction house here. I mean, for floor space is huge.
Yeah, it's not. It is not so much that it's big on the inside. It's like it just goes on and on. You've got this huge inside area, and then there's another area off to one side, and there's always bikes outside. And then when they put them up for the night, I mean, I've been there before when they were closing up and they're rolling them in. There's not even a place to walk hardly when they take the bikes from outside and put them inside. Last time I was there, they had a specialty bike there that not one piece of that thing I don't think was original. And some dude. They bought it, and he said it's going to sit in the floor until somebody buys it. They're not going to cut the price on it. I mean, it's all chromed. It's got big ass 30-inch wheels on it. It's just ridiculous. But there's a few of those bikes like that. They're just these ridiculous ass bikes. And he's like, I'm going to buy them. I'm going to keep them in here. If somebody buys them, cool. And if they don't,
Yeah, something to see.
It adds to the ambience of the place.
Yeah.
Greg, I forgot. Greg Forehand stepped in. Welcome, Greg.
Yeah, I don't know that I would even call Burt's necessarily a dealership anymore because now it feels like there's so much going on there. It's more like an attraction in and of itself because you've obviously got the dealership, but then you've got OC Roadhouse, but then there's all the cool memorial stuff nearby. Speaking of which, I gotta look into getting a paver there actually. Yep.
Angel, no, we're not talking about Chase on two wheels. We're talking about Whiskey Chaser. Who has been to. So he put his sticker on the beer tap at Born Free Pub, and that is something I want to do. I want to put my sticker on one of the taps at Born Free Pub. It's like a thing now. It's not a huge place. It's kind of a hole in the wall, but I mean, it's like something to do. And apparently, every once in a while, he'll have a tattooer there. So he'll open up one of his little back storage rooms, and there'll be somebody in the back tattooing. So I could use the tattoo. Why not?
I need one of those as well, I think.
You can never have enough tattoos. It's like money.
I don't have any.
Yeah.
It's actually the opposite of money.
You don't have any?
The more tattoos you have, the less money you have.
I got some ideas.
Oh yeah. So this will be your first tattoo.
If I get one when I'm down there, yeah, it will
So
be.
yeah, make it memorable. Make it something that I mean, hell,
What do you?
your little bear head design that looks pretty cool. I mean, not to press you, but
That's
that's actually kind of awesome.
that's what I was thinking, and then maybe a couple of dates on underneath that to commemorate a few firsts. So
You're thinking of getting a bear tattoo?
yeah, maybe kind of like a bear skull, sort of like the one I have on the back of my sissy bar, symbol like that. And then like I was also thinking, like I said, dates on it. So like because I have pictures on a lot of this, and I happen to have the dates recorded. But like the day, maybe like a small set of antlers or something. That'd be the day I got my first deer. A fan or something. That'd be the day I got my first bird, my first turkey. The first bear. And then actually, I think I have some pictures of it here. I might actually I don't know if I'd want to get this bike tattooed on my body, but something commemorating actually the date of my first ride on the street on my own motorcycle. I have that date saved somewhere, and that would actually be really freaking cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I've got I don't even know how many tattoos I've got, but every one I've got was because of a memorable thing I did, and I think that's the best reason to get tattoos. There's nothing because I thought it was cool. Everything is to commemorate something. So I think I have somewhere in the realm of like 28 or 29, but there's none I just went and got because I think it'd be cool. All of them mean something. It's some part of my life, some part of my military history, some of my children, my wife. Obviously, there's few for my wife, but there's if they mean something, you'll never regret them. Even if it's a part of your life that you may later look back on and go, yeah, I wish I would have done that. It's still a memory, and never regret a memory. So
Yeah.
It's all we got in the end is the
All
memories.
part of the road of who we are.
yep. Shout out to Nine
Exactly.
Mills. Welcome in. You've been here for a while, but I just wanted to say hi. John Hendricks, welcome in also. So Bleak, this is gonna be your first. You actually made it down there. What are you most excited about at Forgotten Angels?
Meeting Cindy and David. I mean, these are people who are leading a charity that I find just fascinating and has made me want to get involved in charitable work as well. The idea of helping others and just meeting two people who are so engaged in that, I think, will be worth it to me right there. On the other side, I get to meet a ton of people I interact with all the time, and just in passing on the internet, which is not the same as meeting them in person and getting to shake a hand or clank a beer together. And I really look forward to that as well. Sort of the camaraderie of the community, of which I hold so dear.
Something that's funny is I forget that you've actually never been to Forgotten Angels because every time you come in the chat, everybody knows who you are. When you come into the live stream, Josh knows, hey, there, Bleak's here. Hey, everybody say hey, Bleak. So I forget we met one time. I mean, he met you one time, and it was like because it was raining, it was pouring. We were under an awning somewhere, and we only
Yep.
got to talk to you for a very short time. But I've seen you here so often. I see you online so often. I watch so many of your videos that it seems like we've met time and time again, but we really haven't. So it's kind of it's one of those odd things, and it's thanks to YouTube, thanks to social media, you get so close to people without actually having to see them face to face, once a week or whatever. But you just get inside people's lives on something like YouTube or Instagram or whatever. And I like these lives because you can be fake on Instagram with your Instagram pictures and your filters and all this other stuff. But when we have these kind of meetups, you really get to see the raw side of people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool thing.
Yep.
Uh, Angel Face, yeah, I've met Ray's Motor Life before. We go way back, so yeah, we're friends from way back. He follows me, I follow him. It's not a new thing. So yeah. So what do you guys in the chat? What are you looking most forward to going to Forgotten Angels? I haven't been able to keep up with the chat. Usually, I got one person that's in the panel here that they can keep up. But Nine Mills, why are you not jumping into the chat? You've got the address. Why aren't you jumping in here?
Oh, I'm trying to pull it up as well.
So where was the place? So Adam Sandoval just went to a place, and somebody asked me if we could go there, and it's about an hour from Forgotten Angels, and I can't remember where it is. It's the hole in the wall biker bar that he went to, and it's country roads all the way from Valrico to this place, but I can't remember the name of the place. Was it called the Stonewall? Stonies? Somebody in the
Be
chat
an
can help
interesting
me
name
out.
for a place.
Stonies, yeah. They said it was a biker bar that went all the way back to the '60s. It's like a almost like
Oh,
a
now see,
landmark now.
that would be cool. Um, Anything to do with biker history, I'm in. Um, a little project I'm trying to put together here is sort of the history of motorcycling in Iowa, and maybe what were some of the first shops, or what were some of the first bikes, or what was the first thing ripping through the cornfields.
Yeah,
And
I hate to admit it, Iowa and Ohio both have huge motorcycle backgrounds, especially with their custom shops.
yeah,
Because what are you gonna do in the winter? You can't ride the bike. You might as well put it on a stand for 3 months and just do the
so
most
many
wickedest
people
shit. Yeah,
who maybe never go known, because they were lost here among the cornfields, and you'll never even know of the work they did. And one thing I think is pretty interesting. It didn't really work out in the end, but Victory Motorcycles, that was here in Iowa, and so we have this history and this tie to motorcycles, and I just can't find enough about it online that I'm now beginning to search it out.
Salty Badger, welcome in. So remind us of this. So you did some back history on this motorcycle that they found buried in a wall, and
Yeah,
no one knew what it
Oh
was.
yeah.
So give us some back history on that because I thought that was the coolest thing.
the guy, it was this gentleman's house. He had a son. The son, I guess, had stolen that motorcycle, and then was being called off to World War II. He was being called off to war. The father bricked it up in a wall, didn't tell nobody. The son went off to war and died. He did not come back. Well, it was forgotten about until a leaky pipe led some handyman to a false wall. He breaks down the wall and finds this one off motorcycle that was 20 years ahead of its time with braking and the carburetor and just the whole way it worked. Um, Stuff that Harley Davidson would incorporate in some of their original bikes. And I don't remember all the details of it. It was in Illinois, I think, but definitely a video to go watch. It's in my catalog, and an excellent story about, yeah, just a one-off motorcycle that really is a mystery to history.
Angel Bay said, I have not actually got to meet Salty Badger yet, but obviously everybody that comes into the chat and talks, I always try to look up their channels or their Instagrams or something. Jasmine Ty, welcome in. Yeah, you do some very interesting stuff, and the only the only the only one of stuff of yours I can't watch is the stuff to do with kids because I have a horrible. I don't know. I just can't stand watching kids get hurt and stuff. But some of your stuff is really cool.
Well, the true crime stories I've begun to steer away from because they're actually really hard to tell. To do somebody's story of something very dark, justice, you got to take all that in. You got to remember it and then speak it aloud,
Yeah,
and
the
you're
comment.
retelling the yeah, and it's really hard on me. So I've kind of went back to just moto vlogging for now and doing some reviews here and there and just sort of the normal motor vlog life, because that bit of content, it takes an incredible toll on me to make, and I only dabbled in it because I thought it was a genre that might hold some interest, and the little bit I did, I don't know, was very dark.
Yeah, you take that stuff home with you. That's a lot of police. They have they're fantastic police and they're fantastic at what they do, but you start taking this stuff home with you all the time, and that's kind of hard because you
Yeah,
have to listen to
definitely.
these stories, you have to document them, and not only do you know the story, the average person can read these crime blotter stories and go, "Oh God, that's horrible," but an investigator especially has to investigate every part of it, be there, see the bodies, see the
Right.
positions, and
People
it
can
starts to wear on you. It does.
people can think what they want about the police, but I think most of the time they're out there doing us a lot of good, and they're dealing with stuff that a lot of us probably aren't equipped to deal with, and they're dealing with it every day. And the mental strength it takes to do what they do, my hat's off to them. And I'm thankful the men and women of law enforcement, of EMS, of fire, of all of them working hand in hand are out there kind of keeping us all safe because the world's a crazy place.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I know people, and I know being a military cop, you do take this at home with you, and it starts to wear on you. And I know people say, well, the cops are losing their minds, and oh, they just get mad. And when you see the same thing over and over again, you start preparing yourself every time you have to come to a confrontation, and that's not an easy thing. That's why police, a lot of like, so my daughter is a paramedic, and she has to go sit down with a counselor like once a month. And whenever she starts feeling like she can't bear it, she might go in once a week, once every other day, because it does get heavy on you seeing children hurt, women hurt, kids hurt, even some of the men you see get hurt. It's hard to do that stuff and then keep doing your job and try to maintain professionalism. So yeah, God love them, head off to them, and
Well,
we
that's
don't have
what it
enough of
was.
them.
It was one of the kids' stories that I did, and I told that story, and it like sticks with me. It just haunts me, and I haven't wanted to do another true crime video since that one because reading this little girl's story was enough that I turned away.
Yeah,
I was like, wow.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's just hard to take. Let me send 9 mils the address real quick. You guys go ahead and just chat without me for a second. I'm gonna see if I can get him this
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, as we were talking about before, I'm real excited because I've never had a cup holder before, but now I have a cup holder, and I've got this big fancy bike to rip on down to Florida with. And I learned, Yankee at our last visit down in Missouri, and I had the concourse. I had a little taste of touring. That was sport touring, so it's on a slightly different line. But now I have the big cruiser touring, and it's so comfortable. Like you sit in that Mustang seat, and it's like you're ready to go. You're in a cockpit, ready to just fly down the road.
Yeah. It's it's interesting. On the one hand, there's that saying about adventure bikes. What makes something an adventure bike? When you go have an adventure bike or an adventure on it. Yeah, no, on the one hand you can say the same thing about touring bikes. What makes something a touring bike? Well, you go tour on it. But there really is something to be said for a machine that is specifically set up for that. And then what that adds to your own endurance, that just opens up just a world of possibilities. Once you really can start logging the miles. My bike is definitely not supposed to be a touring machine by any stretch of the imagination. But bits and pieces here and there, I've been adding stuff to it. I got the windshield, I got the bags, I got the higher bar so I can sit a little bit more upright. As soon as I save up enough money for the seat's next, and then the suspension I think will be the last bit on it. But but that's like one of the reasons I kind of put so much onto it too is because each one of those things I add to it for touring, it's like, well, I'm not just trying to, add a farkle to the bikes so much. It's like I'm trying to open up the possibilities of what I can actually feasibly do. So a good example is the sissy bar that I had on there. That makes storing all my camping gear on it so much easier. And then that just means I can pack more clothes or more food or whatever it is I need, and then that just increases my range exponentially. So, but then the touring bike itself is just kind of one of those things where yeah, you have all those possibilities that are open to you now, and then yeah, it's just a matter of finding the time and twisting the throttle.
Well, I had the chance to take my big touring bike out recently, and
Mm,
was very pleased with how it handles, just how it rides, and
nice.
again was very excited about this trip because I know I have a bike capable of doing it.
Yeah, I
So,
will be. Go ahead, Rainey.
so which one are you taking? I mean, I missed that part because I was trying to get the links put out. Blake,
Oh, the Vaquero.
oh, Yeah, you don't see many of those on the road. And I saw one up in the dealership here, and they had it for like $6,000. It was like a 2012, and I'm like, holy crap, man! I should buy that thing. It was gorgeous. It was white and green,
Yeah.
and it
Oh,
was
that's a
fantastic
pretty
color,
one.
dude.
I have the 2011. It's black. It's like a gloss black. Um, 1700 cc floating floorboards, cruise control, and then not a lot else. It doesn't have heated grips. It doesn't come standard with a nav system, but it's got everything else. Um, and at half the price of a lot of the other big touring bikes in that category. So yeah, I had the chance to get one, and I picked it up in a heartbeat. I had to trade in my little green sport bike, but I mean, I figure I'm gonna be using this to come see you guys.
Yeah.
Spared no expense.
But you're still down to. So the Connie's gone.
Yep, I sold that to a dear friend who I'm like very much wanting to get into writing, and I think he has all the earmarks of someone who's going to take right to it, like a moth to flame or a fish to a big hook. Um, but I know he's gonna love it. It's just gonna open up a whole different world to him, just like it did to me.
So you still have. So do you still have the 900?
I have a Cruiser 900, the
Yep.
Vulcan Custom.
And you have three now. You still have three, right?
No, I'm down to two.
You're just down to two.
Yeah,
Eh,
there's room for a third.
there's okay. So there's room for a third. Shop on, shop soon. Nine Mills, welcome in.
Hey,
So
hey.
you're not going to make it to this one, but we're talking about places to go out, places to eat, places to get out and just have a beer, places you want to see while you're in Tampa. So give us your favorite places to go. Give us some ideas.
Uh, there's so much to do at the campground. It's hard. I don't, but the Stein and Vine is definitely a place to hit. Love the Stein and Vine. Uh, it's gonna
Hmm.
suck tonight. I ain't gonna hit that. Uh, it's just that good there. And if you haven't been to the Stein and Vine, of course, you watch Josh's Shade Tree Service channel. He hits that place pretty regular, like, and there's a reason. It's good food.
So when we went to pick up Diana, we were at the airport, and so we were looking at what's closer to us right now, Stein and Vine or Coppertail. And it was like Coppertail was like 6 miles away, and it's like, well, that's the closest one. We're starving because we had to wait for her for a while in the lot. She's like an hour late. So we're going to so we went to the Coppertail. No regrets, but yeah, I want to go to the Stein and Vine this time. Got to squeeze
Yeah,
it in.
I actually think it's closer than Coppertail. Pretty sure.
It would have been from the camp out, but we were at the airport, and I was like, I'm
Oh,
starving.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Forgive me for that one, but yeah, I had to. So yeah, Red Rider, she's not here because she has a very successful all of a sudden channel now, so she's making content. Can't fault her on that, man. She's making fantastic content. So until things slow down, I might not. She's obviously going to make it to the camp out this time, so she's probably trying to get ahead on her content, get ahead on her taping and stuff, which I can't fault her for that. I'm going to try to do the same thing too. I'm going to try to make up a few videos to go live while I'm out because we got so much footage now that I'm holding it back. You don't want to put out a video every day that's 30 minutes long. People will stop watching your stuff. You want to keep it fresh and exciting. So
Hmm.
maybe I'll just start doing more shorts. Matt, you do a lot of shorts. Your Sunday shorts have kind of become the thing at the end of the Sunday. I'm like, okay, well, let's
Oh,
see what Matt's doing. And some of those are really
I've
funny.
been
They're all really funny, honestly.
because I got a surgery coming up, so I'll be out of commission for 6 weeks. I've been. You look at this list.
Oh yeah.
Planning.
There ain't gonna be a lack of videos. Trust me, not at
Oh,
all.
nice.
So
Cool.
it's been really really nice here. So I've been out riding. And I'm like, might as well make a video while I'm out riding. So yeah.
Excuse me while I go cry internally.
So it's funny. So I mean, I keep telling these guys, I just passed the 1,000 mark. And I keep
Woo.
telling these guys, get out and make a video. Make your videos. Make your videos. Well, everybody's like, well, I don't have 1,000 videos. I'm not monetized. It didn't mean anything. But when I started looking through my monetization, these videos I made 2 years ago about changing my oil, resetting the ECU on the Harley, resetting the ECU on the BMW, those are still getting hits. So I'm getting like a buck, buck and a half, $2. every week for videos I made 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you we were talking about cursing in videos the other day. Like, well, I'm not monetized. It doesn't matter. I can use videos. I can use money or music that's copyrighted, and I can do this. Well, you can't if those videos are copyrighted. So stuff that you're making now that doesn't seem very important. Well, I can demonetize it. It's fine. 2 years from now, when you're monetized, that's the decision whether those videos can make money or not. And then
Right.
when you look back at one that had, I'm still getting, so like my oil change video on the K16, that's something that BMW tells you can't do, but I did it. And my video now for changing my oil is up to like 24,000 views, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but for somebody that only has 1,000 subscribers to get 24,000 views on a video, that's something. So that's a video that's going to keep getting hits. Some of the videos I've looked up, like the one for changing my air filter, that video was 10 years old. Can you imagine having a video that's 10 years old and still getting hits 10 years later? That's kind of stuff that happens.
I got 2 comments I just picked up yesterday. I looked and so somebody commented, "It was a dang video." I'm like, what did they trying to say? And I clicked on it and realized it was a video from like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time. People, comment on stuff from years and years ago. Like, wow, holy cow. Okay.
Yeah. So think about when you're making content, think about what's going to be happening in 5 years.
So have y'all mentioned, like, of course, you got to visit the Dirty Shame.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
There is all around the Dirty Shame. There's places to you can walk to from the Dirty Shame to eat. They're really good. I couldn't tell you the names of them off the top of my head because my memory's about that long. And but me and Windrow Therapy, Desiree, have eaten at quite a few of them along the little area there of the Dirty Shame. So that you can walk all up and down there, and there's some good stuff there.
Oh, speaking of Desiree, so I had a video. Speaking of things, so I made content for a commercial like 4 or 5 months ago, and I thought they just weren't going to use the content, and it came out like Wednesday. The commercial came out with me wearing Desiree's shirt, her Windrow Therapy shirt, from 4 months ago. And so I just thought that was fun. And I sent it to Desiree, and she's like, "This is so cool." And of course, she shared it because here I am. I didn't dominate the video like I normally do on their videos because now they have a lot of people that are putting content into their stuff. But it was still cool to be able to wear somebody else's video in a commercial I did because I've worn Whiskey Chaser's shirt in a video. I've worn Josh's shirt in a video a couple times. I've worn the Thralico shirt, Road Warrior Moto up in Ohio. I've worn hers in a couple of commercials that I did. So it's cool to be able to do that and to see, to actually help spread some of my friends' goods and wares, so to say. So now Yankee needs to get a shirt where I can wear his in a video.
Working on it.
Make Steve work on it.
Well, he kind of did, actually.
Yeah,
I actually do wear a lot of everybody's shirts, but usually I have a vest on, so you can't tell.
Yeah, I got a vest for this camp out. I got a utility style vest. It looks like a fisherman's vest, but it's very tight. It's got pockets. It's perfect for being on a motorcycle, and it's like a heavy denim. But it's like a dark blue heavy denim. And Josh used to have one like that. Then he went to the full denim like a Levi style. So I'm going to try that out on this trip and just see how it happens. One of the things about we talk about this if I can't wear a jacket, I'll just try to wear a t-shirt with long sleeves. Then any t-shirt with long sleeves is so baggy, it just whips the crap out of you. So the vest, I think, will help a lot trying to hold it to me, which is why a lot of people wear vests. They wear their flannels and stuff, put a vest over it to keep it from whipping around and ripping the buttons off and turning around backwards and choking them and stuff. So that should be an improvement this time for the warmer days that I can't wear a jacket, but I still need something to cover me. And I still need pockets.
I like the pockets. I got some pockets right there. I can put stuff in. I got the gun pocket inside the vest usually and all that stuff. So being a moto vlogger, I got electrical equipment, just stickers and everything else all over the place. So I got pockets.
That's something I did early this time. I put sticker orders in I don't know, weeks ago, it seems like. So they should come within the next week or two, and I'll have an abundance for this camp out. I've often woefully prepared, but this time I'm very
Oh
prepared.
yeah, my first two I wasn't prepared. I gave away every sticker I had, and at the end I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have any stickers left. I'll make more. So the last camp out, I made 300 of each sticker, and so I have stickers for this one. I was gonna make new ones. I have a new logo that I haven't released yet. And I was gonna make stickers for this one about that one, and I thought, I got two logos to give out now. That'll give me something to give out, and then the next camp out, I'll have the newer logo, which I won't use as my main logo. It'll just be like a special edition, sort of, kind of like the skull is. The skull teardrop. That's like a special edition. It's not going to take over my main logo, but it's just something cool to hand out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's like every time I bring all the poker chips I got, and every camp out, I'm like, I know everybody there. Well, then it ends up you don't know everybody there, and I end up handing out every poker chip I have every time I go to a camp out. Every poker chip gone.
Greg Forehand says we all should wear our not a cult shirts down to the shame and do a not a cult ride.
Oh, there you go.
So I have my favorite shirt so far is the Castle Grayskull one. I love that shirt. The colors on it is cool. It's a cool design. The not a cult one is kind of cool, but it's just that Castle Grayskull is awesome. I love the color of the bike, the tires, the whole scene. It's just kind of cool. Probably because it brings me back to my childhood. It doesn't bring me back to He-Man days.
My favorite, as far as Brat Star goes, I have a camp out shirt to a camp out I didn't make it to, but it has sort of a heavy metal art going on the back, lady riding like a dragon. Very cool design, lots of great use of color, and that's my favorite.
You
All
guys
right.
ever follow on Instagram the artist who actually did those designs?
I'm certain.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think he's on Instagram. It's Rimba Raw, I want to say, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I think something
he
like
does a
that.
lot of different stuff for different people, but that's like kind of his aesthetic and his shtick that he goes with those colors. A lot of good stuff.
So I've been working on my last two logos. I worked with a high school girl who's going through trying to go to art college, and so to try to help her with her dream, I told her, make me two designs, and the raindrop sticker was her design. The high school girl made that. And I paid her $50 for each design, which she was asking for 20. I paid her 50. Now I'm thinking I probably should have been fair and paid her more because that's one of my more popular designs, but I did give her a T-shirt, give her a free T-shirt from the shop, and I gave her obviously lots of stickers. But I want to get her on here sometime just where she can kind of tout her wares, and because every time I go to a camp out, people are like, "Oh, I need a sticker, but I don't have a design. Well, I need a better design. Well, I need this." So I'm trying to get her in to where she can just try to talk about herself a little bit because there are cool designs, and she's an awesome artist. So maybe all you guys that need new designs can bust in and get to make y'all a design.
I just went through a design revision, and my original Bleak Rides design was very long, and it was sort of a creature style wording, and it was just not very. It's harder to hand somebody this big long floppy sticker than it is a nice little round sticker. So I went and I revisited what I was doing for logo and came up with a very
Ah,
recognizable, very
knocked it over.
easy B, simple. And yeah, well, you'll get one of
I
the
think
new
I have
ones.
it. Well, I have a small one on this one, but the big one now is on the Harley. It's still
Yep.
on the one that's mounted to the Harley. So anybody that's seen the pictures of my blue Sportster, his big sticker is on my Sportster, and I have a small one stuck somewhere here. We'll look for it later. I'll probably yank it off the wall and mess up my sign. But anyway, if you've seen the blue Sportster, you've seen his sticker because it's right on the front. Because I figured, why not?
I need the next time I go to Florida. Matter of fact, there's a place up in Brooksville. I used to go there all the time because I lived just south of Brooksville for a while there, and I'd like to take a group there, especially if Josh would go. It'd probably because they have a gas station there in Brooksville that is a slash fuel point for trucks. But out back at the gas station is an area that's got a picnic tables and stuff. There is dedicated to a rider that passed away and stuff. But on the weekend, on like Saturday and Sunday, lunchtime, that place is full of motorcycles. Full of motorcycles. Just for it's just a stopping point for taking a quick break, kind of thing. But yeah, it's pretty neat to roll in there and see all the motorcycles and everybody lined up and checking stuff out and just but because it's a good point where you can run out north. There's some good riding areas out there, so everybody kind of just stops there for a break and then they go on. But it's about an hour and change. Even highway, it's about an hour and change from the campground. But I don't know. I'd like to try to do that one time, but I'd have to find it again. But that's pretty neat up there.
I'm trying to find the name of this, the one that Adam Sandoval went to, and I'm looking through his YouTube page.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I know what you're talking about. See, it's right there.
Well, I'm seeing his Trans Am broke down like 6 times on that trip because every other video is like Trans Am breaks down again, Trans Am mishap.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like the look, but my understanding is some of the 70s cars weren't the greatest.
Yeah, they were cool cars. It's like a lot of vehicles, motorcycles and cars, the same. The more popular ones, it's hard to keep them running. It's like a shovel head. Who would not take a shovel head?
Right.
Yeah.
But who knows how to keep a shovel head running? So I mean, but who cares? It's a shovel head. So
Right.
What if it leaks? So what if it's got a blown transmission seal? So what? Just keep putting,
It's for the experience.
It's for the experience. It's to say I did it,
I will actually posit in the shovelhead's favor that of all like the kind of, I'm gonna just loosely say vintage engines or like, say stuff that's how long ago would the shovelhead have come out? 60 years now, something like that. Yeah, but anyway, like of all the engines kind of from that era, there's probably more people around who know how to work on that particular motor than probably anything else from that era, just because of how common they were, but how common they still are for like a lot of, chopper builds and like vintage bobbers. There's still a bunch of them floating around. So there is a knowledge base out there. People who know how to work on shovelheads. I got a bunch of them around me actually. There's a pretty big growing chopper scene here now, and shovelheads are what a lot of them get because that's of the vintage Harleys. That's what's accessible and that's what's available. So that's what they go with.
Once you start going to the newer parts replacements, they're easier to maintain. And that's when you get, if you have an all original one with all original parts, they're absolutely horrible to try to maintain. But when you start actually, I think Shade Tree said you can entirely make a Harley engine not using Harley parts, a complete motorcycle without using Harley parts because everything's replaceable on it. So as you blow something, as you break something, the replacement for it is a lot better quality, is a lot better steel, was cast better, has better temperate values. So as you start to rebuild these bikes, they actually get better and better.
Plus, what was it? I think Joe the Mountain Jedi said about shovelheads specifically. He goes, they don't. It was something along the lines of they don't run or not run so much as they just exist.
They exist, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Because they're not that complicated when you get down to it, So as long as you just where all the moving parts are, it can all be fixed. It can. I mean, a lot of it can be fabbed too. So.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to troubleshoot older engines too. That's why I like carbureted motorcycles. Very little electronics on them. You can see what's wrong with them. Are they getting fuel? Are they getting spark? Do you have the right timing? If they are, oh cool, it's gonna run. Unlike a lot of ECU motorcycles, it's got spark, it's got fuel, but what's happening inside the little black box?
Right.
No clue.
My bike, it will not start if it's in any other gear than like neutral. It's got indicators, it's got little actuators going on, and it's all computer controlled. And especially with the clutch, if it detects it's pulled in or something, it just won't start.
I had an old Honda that the kickstand safety was in the ignition system. You could not start it with the kickstand down. You had to pick the kickstand up. But it was the simplest thing. It was like it was either on or off. There was no magic box to tell you if there was a gear indicator or a neutral indicator. It was like it was part of the system.
Oh.
And it had a separate neutral indicator inside the back of the transmission. But as far as the kickstand was up, kickstand down. That's what's going to keep you. You could not start it with a kickstand down. And I think that was a safety that they put on there. The Japanese got so far ahead of the safety stuff. Anything that was starting a wreck, they're like, okay, well, we'll phase it out. Oh, too many people are starting it with the kickstand down and taking off and wrecking. Hey, let's put that as part of the ignition system. Okay, then now that's part of your neutral, your kill switch configuration. Kickstands down, it won't start. You might as well have the kill switch on.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to build off that. The Japanese love their innovation, and the way they do it is to not change anything for 20 or 30 years. They don't. They really do not want to deal with emissions or standards, so they just don't change much. And the KLR is a great example of that. The KLR 650 has not changed for 30 something years. The Concourse is a phenomenal example of that because I think that one was 22 or 26 years of nothing needs changed.
And I think that's, to a degree, that's actually kind of cool because it's easy to get parts for them.
Yep.
Why is it easy to get parts? Because they have the same molds. There's not, 20 molds over a 30-year period. There's like 4.
Yep.
So parts are very easy to come by.
Yeah, I think Josh made this point once because a lot of people like to kind of dump on Harley a little bit, like they're using old motors, it's the same technology, rah rah rah. And he pointed out, he's like a lot of the Japanese big four, they have motorcycle models that have not changed in like 30 years, or if they have, it's in something stupid minor. A great example is my first street bike was a Honda Shadow Aero 750. The Shadow 750 just got a re-release this year. And they updated it. The only thing Honda changed on that motorcycle this year, that's that part of their big re-release, was they changed the rear brake from a drum to a disc. In 2023, they were releasing a 750cc cruiser that had a drum rear on it. Think about that for a minute.
Well, yeah. Royal Enfield did that up until 7 years ago. And they used the same engine for 72 years. They used the old Royal Enfield Bullet engine for like 72 years. The same engine that you could buy in 1942, you could buy right up until I think like 2001. And then they did very small modifications to it and it was the exact same engine, like a 350. The 350 Bullet engine was the exact same engine for like 70 years.
Can I just go on a quick tangent about Royal Enfield if we have a second?
Hell yeah.
Yep. So I've actually been of the opinion for a little bit that Royal Enfield, if they play their cards correctly over the next, not even 10 years, like give them the next 5 years, they could take over a very large chunk of the market here in North America. They are very well positioned, I think, to actually become like the new Japanese, quote unquote, manufacturer because they have been improving their technology, but they're putting everything together well, and they can, because of their economy of scale, they can offer it at a very, very affordable price, which is getting harder to find these days. I was actually at a power sports dealership that's a multi-line dealer, but one of the things they have is Royal Enfield, and I saw one of the 650 Super Meteors. It's the first one I've seen in person, but it's like the twin kind of cruiser they got going on now. And I was looking at going, that bike just looks slick as snot. Like the paint was really nice, and the chrome was in all the right places. And when you see it in pictures, there was certain aspects looked kind of goofy, like the exhaust looked weird. But when I saw it in person, I was like, wow, that actually looks really sharp. It all makes sense. And I mean, for a brand new bike, what are those things running for right now?
The brand new ones now are 6,000. They were like, you could buy them for 5,000 up until probably like 3 or 4 years ago. And then they started actually upping the scale. They had to raise the price. It's still $6,000 for a 650cc motorcycle. Ain't crap. You can still buy the 500s for 550 or 5,500
for that bike, and especially for as well put together. I mean, obviously I didn't get the chance to ride it or anything, but as well put together as it seemed, I was just like, holy crap. Like, don't be surprised if you start seeing just those things everywhere in the next decade or so.
So Itchy Boots drove the new Himalayan about 3 or 4 months ago. I think it was on her channel, And it was
I
such a
want that.
big contrast. It was a huge contrast from the one she rode when she was actually in the Himalayas, But the bike's named the Himalayan because that's what it was for. It was for riding in the freaking Himalayas. It was for back roads, low torque. And you wouldn't think it only put out like 30 horsepower.
Oh,
But
the old one? Not.
yeah, but she rode that thing everywhere. It didn't get there very
I don't.
fast, but it went everywhere.
I don't think it made that much power. I thought it
It
was
was
like
very.
somewhere like 10 or 11 or something like that. Like it was
It
it
made
was
it a lot
low.
less, but yeah,
Yeah.
she rode it all over India. She rode it all over Africa. She rode it all over Asia. She rode it through Russia. She rode it through all the stands. And over the two of them, they were identical because she couldn't. She had one, and then when they went to leave, that's when she found out that they had actually never titled it in her name. It was still titled to the dealer, so they wouldn't let her leave the country with it. So that's when she got the second one, and then rode it all over Asia, in Africa, and we just went everywhere with it. And then ended up having to leave another one in South America, I think. But yeah, she rode those things everywhere. So
Yeah, I think her most recent video is 2 days ago, and she's incredible. I mean, when you think about what she's out there riding through, what she's out there seeing, that's incredible. And I don't know, just some of the hazards she's encountered and the weather and the if you imagine what she's went through, I mean, could we all be so lucky? That's
She's got
incredible.
bigger balls than me because she's been in some scary areas too.
oh yeah. Well, the one
100%.
this was probably 2 weeks ago where some dude was trying to extort her and trying to tell her that she couldn't leave. She goes, "Okay, well, I'm leaving now. Bye, bye." Got her in a motorcycle and drove away. And she's like, and I know she's thinking, "I can't believe I just got away with that. I just told him I was leaving, and I did." You know?
He kept on telling her that she didn't have the proper signature.
Yeah.
That's what it was, and she's like, "Nope, I got it all. I'm leaving."
That's the
leaving.
first time I've
Yeah.
seen her. I know I'm sure she's gotten mad before, but that's the first time I've actually seen her on video get mad. And she's like, "You're lying. You're lying." So she was very animated about that. Probably because it was, she is what 2 years into this trip now, and she's like tired of dealing with people's bullshit. And you see people all the time trying to extort her and take money from her, and like, I've been overseas like that too. And people, if they can get 50 cents out of you, they think they took a million out of you. And in the long-term effects of it, it's 50 cents. What's it going to hurt me? And you may have just bought this guy's family food for a week, giving him 50 cents. I've been places like that. When I was in Kuwait, we had TCNs, third country nationals. I was paying a guy $1 a day to take my trash out. They're making like $10 a month working for contracts there. So I literally paid this guy to take my trash out, paid him what he would earn almost in an entire week. And it's nothing to me. But to him, he takes my trash out every day for 2 weeks. He's made money for a month working 2 minutes a day. It's insane how the rest of the world, and it's our own fault. It's America's own fault. We'll get into that later, but I mean, it's.
Well, I was surprised when I was down in Colombia. On average, the minimum wage there is $3 an hour. Most people work 12-hour days, 6 days a week. They were the fittest people I've ever encountered. Also, some of the most well put together. They did not skimp on looking very nice, very well put together. Always moving, always hustling. Just, the dollar I had, an American dollar there is worth $5. And I was able to, have a nice meal, do different things. I always tipped because I don't know if I'm not helping somebody, that might be the difference for them that makes their day. And what's it mean to me? But seeing how people were living there, it was very eye opening to how I have it here in the U.S.
Yeah. It's every time I see, and I'm not saying people don't deserve more money, but when I see, like, California wants to raise the minimum wage to $50, it's like, what are you going to do? Let's make it $100. What are you really going to do? Well, now all you're doing is making a hamburger. It's going to be $100. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping yourself by trying to make people pay other people more money. All you're gonna do is make that, and that's why people come to America and they're like, "What is wrong with you people?" You have no, your economy is eventually going to crash. We're going to explode. The only thing going for America right now is we have so much import and export going on that we can keep our GNP high. Once, if we stop exporting, we're going to implode. I mean, it's almost like, the cartoon of people smelling their own farts. We think we're great because we keep telling everybody that we are. Eventually it's going to catch up to us.
There you go.
But look at how, I mean, you can look just in the last year. As I was telling my wife earlier, a year ago you could buy a salad from McAllister's for $8. Now it's like $15.
Mm-hmm.
That's what minimum wage is. I mean, minimum, McDonald's salaries were not meant to survive for 20 years and retire from. McDonald's is for kids to learn how to balance their money and to learn work ethic and to move on to better jobs. But we've all seen it. We've seen people work at McDonald's until they're in their 40s and then complain that they're not making enough money. It's like, well, that's why would somebody work? And like I said, my daughter is a paramedic. Why would somebody work as a paramedic for $18 an hour, cleaning up dead bodies, cleaning up children who have been beaten to death, when they can go work at McDonald's for $15 and flip burgers
and not have to deal with the other side
Yeah,
of that.
and you don't have to worry about it. So I don't. I mean, call me cruel. I don't feel bad for these people that aren't making much money working at McDonald's because can some of these people, is that how they start their new life after they have to go through a divorce or a separation or whatever? Yeah, but you've got to make for yourself. The world's a hard place, and I hate to say it like that, but a lot of people go to college, they earn money, they go to trade schools, and they have to earn their way to be able to make more money. So I don't feel sorry for some guy who never went to school and stayed down in his mom's basement and smoked dope every day and can't get a job. I refuse to feel sorry for that guy.
Well, it's amazing what you can do with very little time. I went to trade school. I didn't get a master's or a bachelor's or any kind of business degree. I went to a trade school and I learned to weld. My father built hot rods and race cars, so I learned how to work on some stuff. And later in life, I became a handyman. That's now my vocation, I guess, my trade. And I make a very nice wage doing that, but it's basically a skilled craft. And I had to learn to do it, and it required some on my part, right down to reading books, them old things that you have to crack open to see. What within them is a great deal of knowledge that can actually make you worth more money to people interested in hiring you to do work.
Yeah, I think there's a education to effort that I don't think we reward enough in America. Davison Dan, he said he's only making 14.50 an hour working at Jiffy Lube. Probably comes home every day covered in oil, burns his hands, smashed his fingers. I know a lot. Is that worth as much as working at McDonald's and flipping burgers?
Well, it's interesting how regional things are. So here in Iowa, what I have for a house is worth one price, but the same size property somewhere else is incredibly more expensive, almost prohibitively expensive outside of a place like Iowa or some of the Midwest where costs are very low. And my wage, when I look at it compared to other places, is very good because when I was in Colorado, well, I don't know, I saw what they were hiring for a burger flipper at In-N-Out Burger in Colorado and was like, that's almost what I make as a maintenance guy in Iowa. That's crazy. Again, so I was like, are we dealing with the same skilled laborers here?
Yeah, I mean, we're very, I think a lot, like real estate especially, you pay for convenience. Like where I live, houses, like the same house I live in, if I was to go 20 miles south of here, it'd be half the price. Because the further you get from a big city, the more you get for your money. But people don't want to live where they have to drive 30 minutes to get to a Walmart. They want to live where they can walk to a Walmart or get in their car and drive and be there in 5 minutes. Americans are probably the most spoiled people. And I'm sure I pissed somebody off on Adam Sandoval's Instagram the other day. But Adam Sandoval is doing this giveaway where you can nominate a military member for a motorcycle and to ride with Adam Sandoval at the Eureka Springs meetup in April. And somebody said, "Why is this only for military? I should be able to, to nominate somebody who's worked hard for their community and is just a really stand-up guy and whatever." And I commented to the guy and said that recruiting office was open to everybody. If you feel bad about not being able to do it because you weren't in the military, tough.
Yeah, that's it. It don't matter what's going on. Someone's gonna bitch about something. Either
And there's probably
No kidding.
yeah, every day I get something. So if you look at your Instagram streams or your Facebook streams, there's motorcycle giveaways every day from Dennis Kirk, JP Cycles, Adam Sandoval, any of these motorcycle shops up north. They give one away. There was one that you could go into like any stream and the Clocks and Colors one. There was like 7 different companies you could go in and enter for motorcycles. So if you can't get, good on you for, whatever, but if you can't get into because you're not a builder, you can't enter for a free motorcycle, or you're not a first responder, you can't apply. There's many that you can apply for. Apply for one somewhere else. Let the military people, let the first responders, let the guys who build motorcycles, let them have their day because they're doing something. You can't give them something special. I don't see a problem with that.
It's also it's Adam's thing. It's whatever he wants
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's the immediate stopping point. It's like that's what he decided
Well,
he wanted the raffle to be for. It's his cause. It's his thing. You don't like it? Go, like I said, go find a different one. Go
Yeah.
find a different raffle.
He explained to the guy. He said, the guy that gave me this motorcycle is an ex-military guy, and he said, I have this motorcycle. I want to give it to another military member. End of story. The sentence stops there. Yeah. And that's what Adam Sandoval said. He goes, this is for a military member. This ain't for you. A military member wants to give it to a military person. There you go. We're done.
Yeah. It doesn't even require justification.
No.
In my mind. That's
the rules. That's the rules.
It's irrelevant.
This is not a no purchase necessary thing. This is a huge blank check necessary. If you didn't write your blank check, payable to your life and service to the country, you don't get to enter. In a story. And I have nothing against people who've not served in the military. Don't get me wrong. But we do deserve our due every once in a while. Just like the firefighters and the police and the military, the medical first responders, they all deserve to be recognized. And if that's how they want to do it, go for it. They deserve that much.
And speaking of recognition, we had a question come up from the comments section.
Oh, I missed it. What was the question?
Angel asked about gas prices in each of our states or gas prices in Florida. I don't know Florida, but here in Iowa, we're paying $3 a gallon for the premium, which is what goes in the bikes. I happen to have a corn fuel vehicle and get gas for about $1.99 for that, which is wonderful. But that's here in Iowa.
So here I put mid-grade in mine. I put 89 in, and it's $1.89 a gallon.
Oh, very
nice. $1.89.
Damn.
That's
whatever you do.
That's without the Kroger discount.
That can't. Are you sure you didn't the sign that?
I will tell you what. I will check tomorrow and put it on my. Yeah, if I got the numbers superimposed, I will check tomorrow. Just like I tell everybody, the doctor.
I filled up $2.79 a gallon. I filled up here in Texas the other day.
I'll check it. It ain't much. It was a little over. It was. I'll check tomorrow, but yeah, it ain't much.
But I can tell you this: Florida will be higher than wherever you're usually at. In Florida, it just gets for some reason you cross into Florida, gas goes.
Because it's a tourist spot. It's just like it's like any big city. Like if you get on I-10, if you get into Beaumont on I-10, gas goes up 30 cents a gallon. As soon as you leave Beaumont, you get out in the sticks somewhere, gas goes down.
But whenever I go to Florida, I always try to fill up before I get to Florida, and then I try to wait as long as I can before I fill up again out of Florida.
Google's claiming that Florida gas right now is about $3 a gallon, which I'm hard pressed to believe that's accurate because that's what we have here in the Midwest. So I'm with you. I would assume it's quite a bit more I remember what
The
gas was in New York, and it was like
God,
stupid expensive.
Hmm.
yeah, the Northeast on the whole is known to be pretty bad for gas. I paid today. I actually filled the tank in my truck, and I just used the regular 87, and that was $2.99 a gallon, and that's about the cheapest station that I come across on my regular travels. But this is in New Hampshire. Every state around us is significantly worse for gas. Massachusetts and like Connecticut especially are horrible on gas, and it's because of the taxes.
Yep.
But even like Maine and Vermont can get really bad with it too. But again, same reason. It's literally just they tax the hell out of it in those
Yeah.
states, and New Hampshire, by comparison, doesn't.
All right, I just looked it up on Gas Buddy. Its average is 265 to 279 here. So maybe I did superimpose some numbers, but yeah, that's the official numbers. I don't know if you can see that on there. Numbers.
I bet that's what we're at right around here
Ah.
too. Is in the 260s,
Yeah.
280s.
Yep,
range.
265. So, well, you know, the doctor told me I'd never be good at poetry because I'm dyslexic, and I've made some nice plates and jugs. I mean, I don't know what he's talking about.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to. By the way, guys, everybody that was at my premiere that I didn't show up at, sorry. I got tied up and just lost track of time, and I was sitting there going, "Dang, I cannot believe I just missed my premiere. I missed it by about 30 minutes." Fucking premiere. It happened.
I don't get to being that I drive a motorcycle. I don't put gas in it a lot, so it's
Yeah.
both of my bikes get about 45, 50 miles a gallon. So I put it in there once every 2 weeks. So probably the last time I
Right.
put, yeah.
I don't actually pay attention to gas prices when I'm on the bikes because it's a tank at a time, and it's somewhere between 12 and $18. You know, between the 5 and the 7 gallon tank, it's just a couple of bucks difference,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's not all that often.
It hurts when I take the wife's truck. It hurts to put gas in it because I'm like, oh my God, I just put $50 in this tank. Whereas if I put it in mine, yeah, the most I'm gonna put in it is $15. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, my Tacoma is like a 20-gallon tank, and to fill that thing up, it hurts a lot. Another reason I hate winter is I can't really take the bike around because whenever the weather's nice, I commute on that. It's like, yeah, I like the sound of 50 miles to the gallon a lot better. So
Yep, yep. And I used to
So
the bike then I had before, the bike I heard that sold the Indy 700. That thing got like 70 miles a gallon. It wasn't very sporty. It wasn't very cool, but it got 70 miles a gallon. So
speaking of the heading to the March trip, so I'm leaving from Iowa, and we're having recordly light winters this year. I've gotten to ride a whole bunch. The weather's been very accommodating. I think we've had snow a couple of times, and only once did we even have bad temperatures. The rest of the time, it's been 20s, 30s, which is unseasonable for here. Normally, we're in the negatives, so it's been wonderful. However, leaving Iowa in March, I expect to deal with some cold, and I'd love to hear from some of you, my peers, more seasoned riders, your experiences with the heated gear. I did order some. I haven't gotten it yet to even begin field testing in it, and it may be one of those situations where when it arrives, I'm packing it on the bike and heading out the door. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Kind of, do you use the stuff much? How do you plan ahead for cold weather and trying to leave or cut through a state that maybe is giving you tens or twenties?
so what I started doing is instead of heading over and then down, I head straight down. I head straight south from here. And even though it makes the trip about an hour longer, I don't have to stay in the same climate I'm in. I get south as quick as I can.
Okay, okay, yeah, because Missouri's like 20 degrees warmer all around.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get out of Iowa and you hit the Missouri border, you've got 15 to 20 degrees warmer.
So I've seen people use electric gear. What definitely, and I'll say this because I know 3 people who have gotten chemical burns. Do not use hot hands in your socks or in your gloves because anywhere when it gets wet, it turns into like an alkali paste.
Well, I've always approached the world, and probably to my detriment, as sort of a barbarian, and I just go at things and I let it, hit me in the face, and I just keep going forward. But I don't know. I thought, well, I'll try some things out, and so I ordered. This sounds crazy. I ordered heated socks, and then I ordered, which are normal, like some heated gloves and a heated vest, and they're all battery operated. And for they claim to have some amount of time. We'll see. I never trust those measurements. They never seem to add up. Anything that says it's got a 6 hour life has like a 2 hour life, and we'll see. But I'm hoping I don't even have to deal with the stuff, and we'll get like a nice 40 or 50 degree morning in March, and I'll be able to head out and hit the road and see what I can accomplish.
Well, I do have a battery operated jacket, and I wore it on the way back in last March. And what I discovered there is use it sparingly. Don't try to keep it on. Because I started sweating, and you saw my video. By the time I got to the hotel, all of a sudden I was freezing.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the battery couldn't keep up anymore, I shut it off. Then all of a sudden I was freezing. I was, geez, was the coat doing that much? No, it made me sweat. And once I didn't have it anymore, then I was freezing. Because when I got to the hotel and took my gear off, I could not believe how wet everything was. Because I was sweating.
Sure.
So what I would tell you is use it sparingly. Don't use it unless you have to. If you start getting cold, turn it on. Use the medium setting, and as soon as you feel comfortable, turn it to the lowest setting. And when you get warm enough to not use it, shut it off.
Good to know. See, perfect.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna have to go. I'm sorry.
Thanks for coming in, Matt. No problem, buddy. Glad to have you. Good to see
I
you.
haven't ate dinner or nothing. It's been a little bit of a crazy day. And, but yeah, this is gonna suck, man. This will be the first camp out that I've missed. But it's just unavoidable, especially with the ankle going on. So
we'll try to get as many
right,
videos as we can.
Later.
All right, Matt. Have a good one.
See you, Matt.
Bye.
So 7 was going to come in, but she can't make it in now, so she's missed.
We have another question.
What's our question?
Rainy Rider, where are you from?
Originally, so you can't tell from my accent, I'm originally from the Louisiana-Texas border. And I say that because I was born on 20 minutes on the east side of the Louisiana border, and I lived within 20 minutes to the west side of the Texas border. So in that 40-mile strip, I lived my entire life till I was 18, and then all of a sudden I joined the Navy, and then I was from everywhere else. So right now I live right outside of Memphis. I've lived since I joined the Navy, I've probably lived in 20 different places. But now I live right outside of Memphis in Mississippi.
Very nice.
You do not want a pipe from your exhaust going to your jacket. That'd be detrimental to you in more ways than one. So, Gma, I think I missed being able to say hi to Gma, but too bad.
Is Gma going to be at this one?
Gma will not make it to this one.
I'd love to meet her.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah. So what I have learned is this is an old joke. I mean, it's like cliche by now, but layer your clothes.
Yeah.
So what I usually did, and I don't know why I decided to do the heated thing, but even then I have a thermal underwear and a long sleeve t-shirt under everything, and then I wear a flannel, and then I wear a hoodie or a pullover over that, and then I put my jacket over that. The biggest thing I can tell you is you probably already know this because you have the Dixon rain jacket, don't you, Bleak?
No, I have rain gear.
So if you really want to stay warm without putting on a ton of stuff, put your rain gear on.
Okay.
Because it'll hold in the heat, keep the wind off of you without adding a lot of extra bulk to your layers. But then again, because it's rain gear, it not only will keep rain out, it will keep moisture in. So make
I
sure
remember
you
getting hot
break
and
every
that
once
stuff
in a
on the
while.
way to Eureka. We were getting all that rain during that Eureka trip, and I kept putting that rain gear on, and man, that stuff warmed me up real quick.
Yep. I will even around here. I'll put on. If I know it's going to be, 40 in the morning, but it's going to warm up to 65. I'll put on my regular clothes, just put rain gear over it, and it's a 25-minute ride to work. If all I need to do is keep the moisture out and keep a little bit, keep the heat in, I'll wear that over a pair of thermal pants and a pair of jeans, and then a t-shirt and my hoodie, and then put rain gear over it, and it's plenty just for going to work. And then I'll just put the rain gear, because rain gear folds up a lot better than a full jacket and riding pants. Takes a lot
Yeah,
less space on the bike.
that's one thing I've wondered about. I picked up a while back a very nice leather riding jacket, but it doesn't seem like it crushes down very small.
Does not.
So when I get to Florida and I won't need said jacket, it's like, where am I going to put you? I've got that net thing that I can pretty much strap anything to the bike with.
Well, and nets, absolutely. Nets are great for holding the rain gear where it's quick to get to also. So, yeah, I mean, I love my big jacket, my big Revit jacket, and it's got zippers on it where I can open it up. And it's great while you're moving because you open the sleeves and open your little zippers and it blows wind through you. It does not help you at stoplights. It's just hot. So,
Well, so it's already different because the few times I've traveled before, well, the Concourse had a little bit more for luggage options. That was actually pretty decent. On the Z900 when I went, for my first attempt to Forgotten Angels, I had the soft flip bags or whatever. Really, not much room at all for stuff. And now I have this big bike, and I was messing around in one of the side cases the other day, and I have like all my tools. I got like a air compressor, a battery charger. I got rain gear. I got a whole garage worth of stuff in the one side, and I'm like, what am I gonna put in the other side? I still got this whole other bag, and then I've got this giant Viking bag they sent me that I gotta actually shoot a review about, and this thing has room for days. I could pack 2 weeks worth of clothes in it.
yeah, camera gear pretty much takes up one whole bag for me.
Yeah,
By the time you put, so, 3 cameras, the batteries for those, plus a vlogging camera, plus your chargers, and then a bunch of cables, that's literally half of my trunk. And then the rest is for snacks, where I store the water when I'm not drinking it. So I have that's another thing that net's good for is a half drink soda or half drink water. Is tuck it under the net. Nets are great. 10 of 10. Angel Face is asking about the gators. So there were 2 gators in the pond a year ago. Right before the wedding, they pulled the biggest one out. So they pulled the one out. Yankee might help me. The biggest one was a 6-foot, and they left the 3-foot. And I think the smaller one is still in there.
Yeah, I wasn't there for when they removed them. I know that, yeah, right before one of the campouts I was not at, they said they did. But yeah, I don't really know anything other than that. Somewhere I know we have the picture that Josh sent us of when David was flying the drone like right over the surface of the pond, and like the bigger one came out and got it. That was
Yeah.
yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, no, those are not swimming ponds. In case you were curious about
We
the epic.
was
Water
it
dinosaurs.
I don't know if it was the wedding or the one before that, but one of those drunk women who did not come there often. This girl had never been there, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get my bikini and I'm gonna go jump in the water," because she was trying to be a little skank. Okay, forget I said that. But people were telling her, "Don't go in that water." "Oh no, you can swim. I swim in these lakes, blah blah blah. And I'm from Osceola, and I swim in the lake, blah blah blah." And they're like, "You go in that lake, nobody's coming to get you,"
Yep.
because that's when the big one was still in there. And they finally talked her out of jumping in the water. But yeah, that's straight nightmare material there. I mean, that's something from a '80s B movie. Some chick in a thong
Yeah.
bikini jumping in a lake and get eaten by an alligator.
Mm.
You're on your own. I don't know if anybody's gonna come in and get you. Reminds me of an old military story that I probably told you guys. I had an old instructor when I was in combative school. He was a SEAL, and he was talking about the other instructors were talking about how you never open the doors on the Humvees because now we have compressed glass. It's 10-layer glass. It's bulletproof. There's steel doors. And he's saying never get out, for a rolling firefight. Just keep driving. And he from the back of the class goes, Yeah, there was that one boy. We got fire, and he wanted to jump out and return fire, and I was like, "Stay in the truck." And he jumps out, starts turning fire, and he took two to the chest, took one to the leg, and I closed the door, and he's like, "Let me in." And I said, "I told you, stay in the truck. Now you can just die." And the whole class is just looking at him like, and the instructor was like, "So anyway, let's move on." Yeah,
Damn.
nobody's coming to save you if you do something dumb, because there is such a thing as, there's a lot of heroes in the military, don't get me wrong, but to sacrifice yourself and knowing that you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation for someone who just out of stupidity did something dumb, that's,
When you put yourself in a dangerous
yeah.
situation, you're putting your whole squad in a dangerous situation.
Well, we've all watched enough military, and I'm going to give this a very realistic movie is Full Metal Jacket, when the sniper was trying to draw people out and she just kept wounding him, because that's what they do. They want somebody to run out and grab that guy.
Yeah.
And one of the things they teach medics is, how do you treat someone that's wounded? First thing you have to do before you stop the flow of blood, before you bandage it, you have to stop the harm.
Yeah.
If the harm is a sniper, if the harm is another, armored vehicle, that's what you got to stop first. Body recovery or victim recovery comes second. So how do we get there from this gator anyway? Anyway, moral of the story: don't jump in the pond. Okay, that's it.
No, but it's funny though. Quick little side note. So up here in New Hampshire, we have the White Mountains, which is a very popular destination for a lot of things, but especially hikers. Um, because of our proximity to large population centers such as Boston and New York, a lot of people will hike these mountains, and some of them don't exactly make the best decisions for what constitutes being prepared for a hike, especially in seasons that are not summer. New Hampshire Fish and Game conducts the rescues, of which there are dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens every year because people get lost or in really bad situations. There is a state law here that says if Fish and Game, after they've rescued you, if they determine that you got into this situation completely due to your own negligence, you are liable for the costs of your own rescue. They will take you to court and they will send you the bill for everything, for every cost that you incurred.
Yeah, mountain
doing so.
rescues. Mountain rescues in the Midwest are the same. If you or Colorado,
Yep.
it's very common for when they do a mountain rescue to send you the cost.
Yep.
That's on your cost. That's why so many people buy the rescue insurance now, because Blake, you might have heard this when you're in Colombia. If they have to rescue a motor rider, it's very common to get helicopter insurance in South America and in Africa, because if you don't, you're going to stay there. Nobody's going to come get you. It's a big business down there for these helicopters and these rescue services to sell insurance.
Well,
Otherwise,
in some places, there's not, even if you had a helicopter, there's still not a quick extraction. And in the week I was in Colombia, I seen what I'm probably sure were about 3 motorcycle fatalities. Um, all different kind of blindy corners coming down different parts of these. Medellin is a big bowl, and so there's like mountains on each side, all the way around it, almost like just a big bowl. And so there's not a straight road in the place. It's every road is curves and hills and just massive hills. And so there's no large trucks either. There's little half-size trucks, or my favorite, the motorcycle cart hybrid, um, which were pretty interesting little bits of tech they had running around that city. But there were plenty of times where, from the 3 I seen, somebody coming down a hill. I don't know if their brakes failed, whatever. They smashed into a car, a truck, and they were dead on the side of the road. And if you'd had a helicopter, you could have got to them any quicker. I mean, it was just a bad spot.
yeah.
So,
I got 2 questions in the chat. So first one is, what am I going to do with Red Rider? Nothing. I'm going to get her to the camp out. We've already talked about this. I'm going to pick her up from the airport, get her to her rental bike, get her to the camp out, get her into a tent, and then she's a free woman. I have no control over that girl. She's a full grown lady.
she's so cool. Anyone who messes with motors, I just stand in awe of. you know. And I watched some of her videos, and her knowledge. She's a younger gal, right?
Mhm.
Her knowledge base is just incredible. And I know a chopper builder here. He's a younger guy, and his knowledge base. I got my old school buddy, the motorcycle mechanic, who even said like, you know, for a young guy, he's pretty all right. He knows his stuff. And I feel the same about her. She knows her stuff, man. She's tearing these motors apart. She's out looking for parts. She's got parts coming in. She's building bikes, and it's like, hell yeah. What more do you want?
She's young to us, I would say. So
Yeah,
she's probably 30. I think she may have just turned 30. But yeah, for she, I mean, if you've seen any of her latest maintenance videos, mechanical videos, she's rebuilding engines, she's retapping holes. She has taught me things about retapping holes with this little trick, and I'm sure maybe her father taught her, but still, I never knew it. How to drill out a hole or drill a bolt out, put it into another bolt hole that's drilled bigger, and then Loctite it in, and now you got a brand new bolt hole. That's years beyond helicoils. I mean, that's brain bucket stuff there.
yeah.
So yeah, and she does it all herself. I mean, yeah, her dad may be telling her how to do it, but she's doing it all herself. So next question was, do you have assigned tent spaces or is it a free for all? Kind of both. What I would suggest is get there in the daytime. Don't show up at 9 or 10 o'clock at night after dark because you're just going to be kind of SOL. Show up early enough in the daytime, and people will direct you to a spot. What I would recommend is find someone who's already there who's not inebriated yet. I'll stress that, and ask them what's a good place to put up a tent. Last year, I helped out a lot with that, walking around, and people were driving in with their bikes, and I seen people try to set up over by the Yingling hut, and I kept telling them, you don't want to be here because you will not sleep. And I would direct them toward the back, toward the other side of the fire, between where the big fire pit is now, and that's a change from before. The big pit that was under the trees is no longer there. They moved it to the other side of the corral. So that gives us one, it gives a whole lot more tent space. But don't just go free for all setting up wherever you think you can throw a tent, because use the judgment of other people there because you may be setting up in the middle of a road. One thing we don't want, obviously, and I say we, but it's their camp out, but we don't want to block any access to one, the shit truck. Absolutely not. Because I've seen every year somebody sets up on the little trail that goes back to the porta potties. You do not want to block the porta potties because that means they don't get dumped. So just ask around. And two, don't
See,
sit up by the Yingling hut because it's one, people are going to be stomping in and out all day. So people are going to fall on you. They're going to trip over your tent. Do not get by the Yingling hut.
I'm gonna grab a hotel near the place. I'm not camping. Um, I'm gonna hoteling.
I mean, if you want to, I'm never going to tent or I'm never going to hotel because I don't go to bed till 3 in the morning. I mean to go to bed at like 11 o'clock midnight or so, but I just never do because there's just so much to do there and so many people to talk to. And
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't slow down until 10 o'clock at night. So if you wanted to talk to people and have meaningful conversations that don't include yelling, and screaming and singing, it's not going to happen until after 10 o'clock.
And see, I thought about that, and ultimately, I assume I'll be amongst good enough friends that if I black out somewhere, someone will probably cover me with a blanket. You know, way
I'll
it's
throw my
gonna.
bearskin on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got my bear
So
skin.
even if I don't make
There
it
you
back
go.
to the hotel, I intend to mostly be at the camp out. You know, but I don't know. I just I like my own shower and bathroom.
Yeah. Angel Face, no, I did not. I'm definitely going to take care of her. One thing she specifically told me is, I don't want to be led around by the nose. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm going to get you there, find you somewhere safe, because she's got her own plan of what she wants to do there. Of course, we offered her, that she's bringing a onesie, so she will be going to the onesie breakfast with us. And I won't spoil it by telling you what she's bringing, but I think it's very cool. And she is going to probably make a run with us to Coppertail. Other than that, she's never been there, so she wants to meet Shade Tree. She wants to meet David. She wants to meet all the people that she knows about only on YouTube. And that will literally take up the entire weekend because she's going to be, a fresh faced person like we all were our first time there. There's just gonna be it's gonna be overwhelming. So I'm going to obviously give her a warm welcome, but she wants to do her own thing.
Well, can I just take a moment to acknowledge your particular efforts to make the world a smaller place? What you do with your interviews, man, it makes all of us a little closer. And I learn
I agree.
more about people in this community watching your interviews than watching 100 people's videos. You know, I mean, you're doing really incredible stuff.
Thank you.
And I just want to tell you that.
Thank you. And I've interviewed both of you, so
Yeah.
I can't
um,
thank you enough. You've been putting up with my bullshit for all this time. Oops, sorry.
I love you. I love you both. I mean, come on. It's you two. You know, probably there's probably a circle of 8 people. You know, at the camp out and this whole BS together, not just the camp out, that I consider very close and that I would do anything for in year 2 of them. So I love this life. I love this life I'm in because I make so many friends and so many close friends that I mean, I've actually Yankee. We've actually met up more not at FA in the last 2 years than we have at FA because we went to
Yeah.
the Jack Daniels trip. We went to Land Between the Lakes. We were at Eureka Springs. So it's a very small world. So and,
Yeah. Can I just tell a quick story too about
Yeah.
the Jack Daniels trip?
yeah.
Because on that trip, I did a lot of solo riding to and from, and I crossed like a few items off my bucket list on that trip. On the way out, actually, it sounds kind of silly, but one of the first things that I did is because of the route I was going, I went and stopped really quickly and I saw Lake Erie because I had never seen any of the Great Lakes before. Never had the opportunity. Did that. Kind of saw some national parks on the way down. Like I did stop by Mammoth Caves really quick. Did a lot of riding like around the tobacco fields in southern Kentucky and Tennessee. We did the Jack Daniels thing. On the way back, I rode the Shenandoah National Parkway. That was awesome. Did Skyline Drive, did all that. Went and saw the Antietam battlefield when I was done with that because I happened to be near it. That was another bucket list item, and that was really special. Did all those things. Do you know what my favorite memory of that entire trip is? This is no BS.
The slushies.
Close, but not quite.
Okay, let me guess. The night that we all sat around down in the lobby at the hotel.
Yep, that one. You, me, and Juice, and just like sitting there with that bottle of Jack Daniels rye, just telling BS stories and just talking whatever. I don't even know how long we were there. It simultaneously felt like it simultaneously felt like 10 minutes and 3 hours, and I really couldn't tell you which one it was.
It was more like 3 hours, yeah, because we were.
Yeah.
And what's funny is we killed that bottle, and it was like, oh look, it's gone. Yeah, it was 3 hours because we didn't.
Yeah.
So we didn't go over there until the hotel closed, and or the bar next door closed, and because we had the shrimp and we had the egg rolls and we snacked. And then we went back and it's like, well, they're going to close. Let's go over there. So we're like, so that was when you were like, well, we'll go up to the room. We'll grab this bottle. And we came back downstairs and just killed it. But it was like the company was so good. The stores were so good. We were just conversing, and it was just like I said, it's hanging out with your best friends is the best thing in the world.
Yeah, that's what that really for me was the highlight of the whole trip. And if I remember the chain of events correctly, I don't remember how we got down there with the bottle. I know Juice brought it down. We drank the bottle, basically closed down the lobby because we were the last people there. We were lamenting the fact that we did not have open access to the ice machine anymore because they had roped it off. But we killed the bottle anyway, and then we said, well, we're not done. So that's when we went next door because that bar was still open, and we got Jack and Cokes over there from that same waiter who had given us a hard time the night before because we went and sat at his table and didn't buy anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So we went and paid him back. And
I remember that now.
That was one heck of a night.
All the servers were cool. You know what was fun? The night before when the waitress kept hitting on Juice, and he was oblivious. He was oblivious. I was like, dude, she's into you. And he goes, really? No, she's not. No, she's not. I was like, dude, do you see how she looks at you? You ever see those memes? It's like, I want to, like the last one that came out was Tracy Chapman and the country singer. and he's looking at her like this. He's like, I want somebody that looks at me like, that dude looks at Tracy Chapman. That's how she kept
Yep.
looking at him every time she came over. She would ask us all something, and how are you doing? And then look at Juice and go, it's like, how are you missing this? He's like, no, she's not into me. And I'm like, dude, she is so into you. You should probably give her your number.
It's like Juice. Who do you think she's looking at? Me, the short little guy with a slight Boston accent and the Asperger's voice, or you, the big Midwestern blonde kid? Like, think really hard about this.
Well, again, he is such a Boy Scout. He is such a nice guy. He is so sweet, and he doesn't want to think anything intrusive, I guess. But just such a nice guy.
Well, that's one of the things that's kind of interesting about the motorcycle community, or so I've experienced, is everyone's incredibly real and genuine. And when I made my first attempt to Forgotten Angels on my little cafe bike, I made it as far as Atlanta. And I had the opportunity to meet a couple people there who I'll probably meet again at this one. Which one of which was ACOG in the Wheel, who I never even got a chance more than, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. And then they were all taking off. And Two Wheel Terror left me his hotel room. He said, just take it until you get yours. And I knew I was going to be grabbing a plane home because my wrist was shot, my back was shot, I was shot. I mean, the stuff I was trying to do to even get to the hotel where they were all leaving from that morning, like I was limping down the highway, just like ham fisting the throttle because I had nothing left to give. That position was so unforgiving that I was done. And I got there and they're all like, you ready to take off? And I was like, no, I'm ready to fly on an airplane home, or maybe to the event, probably home, because I got to make arrangements about this bike now. But I mean, he didn't know me at the time from anybody. Here's my room. Take it until they give you yours, because the hotel was having some issue with key cards, and they had to kind of like manually let you into your room with a physical key because none of the key cards were working, so they couldn't just give me a room right away. And I thought that was incredible. And I had a chance to spend more time with him in Missouri. Same when I got a chance to spend the whole weekend with Yankee, and getting to meet people who are incredibly genuine, incredibly real, incredibly kind. It just makes your own life better. These are good things to have around you. And everybody I've gotten to meet so far has been that way. And I'm so excited to go to Florida and meet a bunch of people who,
It's gonna be fun.
like I said, I've interacted with all over years now, and feel like I know them as well as I know anybody else.
It's definitely, it's, again, I tell everybody the first time I went to Forgotten Angels, it was like stepping into the Willy Wonka movie where the kid gets to step into the Wild West, and he's like, oh my God, there's Indian Joe, and there's, Cowboy Bob, and that was me my first time at Forgotten Angels. I was like, oh my God, there's Shade Tree, and there's Shay, and there's Whiskey Chaser, and then Whiskey Chaser was walking over to me. He's like, oh, you made it, and I was like, he's talking to me, and fanboy totally. And then, the funny part was, so I walk up to Jess, and I'll tell this story. I don't care if anybody's sick of it or not. But I walked up to Jess, like, hey, I want you to introduce myself. I watch your channel, and she goes, oh, do you do YouTube too? And I said, yeah. She goes, oh, what's your channel? I said, Rainy Rider. She goes, you're that dude that just rode the snowstorm. And I go, who's she talking to? She's like, yeah, I watch your channel all the time. And I'm like, who is she talking to? You talking to me? It was so weird. She goes, oh, yeah, I watched your video where you rode through the snowstorm and you just rode through that, the water that was up to like your axles. And I was like, you watch my, because like a video before that, she was saying, yeah, I don't watch other YouTubers. I don't want it to corrupt my style. And she's like, yeah, I don't, yours isn't like mine, so I can watch yours because it doesn't interfere with what I want to do with my videos because it's totally different. So it was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And it's funny now that people that I looked at before are like, oh my God, there's this fancy YouTuber. And now when I look in the chats and when I look on my comments and stuff, it's these people that I used to look up to as YouTubers commenting on my stuff. Or I'll comment on somebody's video and they comment back to me. It's just so weird how small the world gets when you make these events. People that you thought were out of reach or untouchable, all of a sudden now they're like your friend. It's insane.
Well, and see, I watch a ton of YouTubers. I watch everybody's stuff. And in doing so, try to make content that I haven't seen before, or try to go in directions that I don't see everybody going in. And then there's times where I don't know, I sort of toe the line as well because I see a topic come up and I want to have some part of that conversation, and then I figure I better tone it back if I want to do that. I can't come off real aggressive or like counterculture when I'm trying to have a civil conversation with somebody. Um, but yeah, I watch everybody's stuff, even the like. I've got people I'm subscribed to where I'm one of the only people. They're under 10, and I'm interested to see what they're doing. And I just love that YouTube allows me to interact and meet and learn and see what everyone else is doing, how their journey's going. You were just talking about her two wheels. I was just watching her video and taking her 2024 Harley loaner cross Texas, cross somewhere else in the freezing temperatures. She's got
Yeah.
like full heated gear going. It's not working. And I don't know. I find so much interest in that stuff because I can relate. I've spent a little bit of time, not as much as I'd like, but a little bit of time out on the highway. I know what it's like dealing with stuff and seeing other people deal with that. It's right where I'm at. It's right thick in the middle of the action, and I just enjoy it so much.
I was just looking up somebody. So somebody that I interviewed that did not have a channel when I interviewed her
Hmm.
has a channel now, and she has more subscribers than I do.
Oh, nice.
And that's Nada on the road.
Oh yeah, she's incredible.
And she, what's again, it's just funny. She messages me all the time. Red Rider. And it's like out of the these people that I texted and I sent messages to, hey, I'd like to interview you for my channel because I was going to interview Nada on the road because she was an Instagrammer and she was traveling all over the road, she all over the world. And I was like, I was only gonna interview her because it'd be cool and to get her on my channel and stuff. And next thing you know, we're friends. She messages me all the time, and same thing with Red Rider. It's like she had more people then, but we're friends now. It's not just like it's people that you're almost kind of starstruck with. Now you're friends with them. It's very weird.
Well,
It's a weird life.
I'm gonna be doing an interview here soon, and I'm gonna interview a mechanic slash chopper builder local to Des Moines. Um, and my interview's more focused on again the history of motorcycles in Iowa. Because I see stuff going on right now, including yourself with your interviews and interviewing motorcyclists. And I see Jason Momoa, the actor, has a show out like on the Rome
Yeah,
where he's ripping around on old vintage bikes and stuff. And I feel like there's little murmurs in the community of people with interest in vintage, in the history, in the common bonds that we all have. And I want to be a part of that in such a big
yeah.
way. And how can I do that? And who can I interact with to learn more about sort of this concept of the biker and what that means in 2024, what it's meant from 1904 on, and uh, interesting stuff.
I enjoy. So I just started watching the dude from the Walking Dead,
Uh huh.
Norman
Norman
Reedus.
Reedus. Norman Reedus. I just started watching his,
Yeah.
and his is actually even more engulfing than Jason Momoa's because he just is a biker. You know,
Yeah.
he's not just some dude that is on a motorcycle. Don't get me wrong. I love Jason Momoa stuff. What I like about Momoa is he's not just a biker. He's into art. And to watch him fanboy over this dude that takes pictures and talking to this dude about how the dude takes pictures, it's just like this dude is just a nerd like the rest of us, wanting
Right.
the cool angle and the cool shot and cool lights and stuff, and that made me appreciate Jason Momoa so much more. That he's not
Y-
just there to be popular; he's there to make good content. You know,
You know who else who kind of doesn't get their due, but makes incredible content if you watch it? Her Two Wheels husband, Jordan Ray, has an incredible style.
yep,
His cinematography, the shots he gets, the way he sets up the camera, the way he sets up the shot, he knows what he's doing, and he's very good at it. And I don't know. I've been in a couple of his lives, and it was like a decent amount of people, and it wasn't Her Two Wheels numbers. And I'm like, I kind of like his content more. I mean, he's got this sort of cinematographic angle that I'm into, and he checks that box because he did one where it was like it starts with him getting out of bed and making a cup of coffee, and the way he filmed all this, it was like I was right there along for the journey. I mean, the immersion was 100% and one. So
Yeah. John Hendricks, thank you very much. Let's see if I can pin that.
oh, nice.
Did you get a super chat?
I did. How do I
Right
do
on,
that?
John.
Wow, coming up in the world.
I know. Who did this? I don't know how to pin it. Oh, I can't pin it from the Apple. Sorry, John, but thank you very much. Wow, I guess I need to up my game. It was weird to get my first subscriber. It was weird to get my first um, membership to the channel. It was weird to get my first Patreon. You're almost like this. What's it called, Yankee? When you don't think you deserve to be in a group? Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Yep.
Yeah, and it's like I hope I can live up to this.
Well, it's
Thanks,
kind of
John. Thank you very much.
And to link it like all back into what we're talking about, like I find one of the most fascinating aspects of just the motorcycle community, but motorcycles in general, is just what a fantastic equalizer they are in a whole lot of different ways. First off, I mean, everybody's got the similar experience. Like, no matter, we all got different bikes, different styles, and some of them all on a different price points. But I always say, like, no matter what you're riding, how you got there, what your style is, how much money you spent on it, when you're out on the road on that bike, you got the exact same thing going on as every other biker, which is that there are two very thin strips of rubber that are separating you from a grisly end. That's one aspect of it, and I feel like that's where stuff like the biker wave kind of comes from. It's like a mutual acknowledgement of that. Like, yeah, we're both just out here, kind of facing those similar risks. But then another thing too is like you get to so much more of like a common shared experience. Like, kind of going back to the Jason Momoa and Norman Reedus thing. I mean, you can watch like all kinds of, like, if you want to call it celebrity TV out there, right? And what they do in their lives, and a lot of it is just, to be honest, it's like very foreign or very alien to us. They're doing things that I will never do. They're in situations that I will never be in, stuff like that. But when they're out there and they're riding, I just always get the feeling of looking at, like, yeah, I can identify with that. I've done that. We all kind of have in our own ways. And it's just, when they're out there doing that, it's pretty much the exact same experience that we all go through. It just brings everybody down to earth in this way that I think few other things do.
Yeah, there's
Go
ahead, Blake.
There's something about being on the bike, and here's the thing. So if you're in a car, you're like traveling through the world, but if you're on the bike, you're connected to the world and you're experiencing it. You're not just traveling through it, you're a part of it. And when you stop somewhere to adjust something, or you pull in somewhere even to get some gas and look around, and you're doing things that connect you to a place and to a time that you don't get when you're breezing down the highway just trying to get from point A to point B. And so whether you're on $100,000 motorcycle or $100 motorcycle being held together with fishing line and duct tape
and pieces of tree,
we're all experiencing that same connection to the road, to a time, to a place. And we can all relate to that. And people in cars, they don't get to do that. They don't have that skin in the game. They don't get to feel the wind or the rain or the pain or the suffering of any of it.
Yeah, on my last trip back, I had never, the last time I one-shotted it down and I one-shotted it back, and I left at 7 o'clock at night to go down there and didn't get there until noon the next day. And something I noticed is there's a huge temperature disparity in the valleys. You don't feel that in the daytime. You feel it at night, and you definitely don't feel it in a car. You don't feel the temperature on a bike, and I know you both know this. If the temperature goes down 5 degrees, you feel it instantly. It's like it just got cold. It went from 60 to 55. You know it. In a car, you're just like, la da 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 da. Oh, feels a little chilly. Let me turn this back up. Let me turn the heat up a little bit. On a bike, you smell the skunks. You smell the flowers. You smell the new wheat. You smell new cotton. You smell everything. You're so much, like you're saying, you're so much more a part of the environment when you're on a bike.
Yeah, the smell is a big one. I think
Smells
that
different.
actually hit when I first started riding. That was something that really hit me, is that you can actually smell the world
Yeah.
when you're going through it on a bike, in ways you don't think. And yeah, you notice all things. It's like, that's when I realized, like, yeah, Western Mass in this Massachusetts in the springtime kind of smells like manure. Well, that's because they're fertilizing all the fields and whatnot. But just doing that, it like just tells you a lot about the world. And yeah, and you guys are right. It's a level of immersion that you just really don't get otherwise.
Yeah. Angel
Well,
Face, thanks for coming in.
later.
So
Something I've gotten to experience this past year, because I've done more riding in cold this past year than I ever have before, and even though I have liquid cooled V twins, the both of them, they still put off a fair bit of heat. And so I've begun doing this thing this old schooler was telling me about, where you just reach down and hold your engine, and it warms up your hand.
Mm-hmm.
You can switch hands, and just do this thing
that
where you're using the motor to warm you up, and it cracks me up, and I do it all the time now, because I don't know, like I've grown some sick enjoyment out of it, like I can go further
that
now.
I
Who
can go
cares?
forever.
that trick. Yep. That
Yeah,
trick got me through the Allegheny Mountains on my way back from Eureka Springs that
nice.
time, because that was the high point of the trip in terms of elevation. It was also the low point of the trip in terms of the
It was
feeling.
so wet that trip. I went
It,
through all three pair of gloves I
yep.
had. They were just soaked. And if not for Fortnine, I would have been sunk, because he had said some trick about keeping rubber gloves with you, and I packed some because I'm paranoid. And it turns out I pulled into somewhere soaked, freezing. What am I gonna do? And I put the rubber gloves on, and I pushed on forward, and I was cold, but my hands weren't wet anymore, so I wasn't wet and cold. And I
Right.
wish I had known that motor trick, or even it's crazy how like it just never even clicked. But I could have been
Yeah.
reaching down and at least trying to warm my hands up a little bit.
I just got my
Yeah.
second super chat. Sammy, thanks.
My God.
Holy shit! I'm a real YouTuber. Yay! Thanks, Sammy. Someone
Yeah.
else that
It's
I would
funny.
not know if it wasn't for the camp out. Actually, no, I met Sammy online, and then she went up to Ohio to my Ohio meetup at Throttleco, and I actually got to
Yeah,
meet her in person at Throttleco for the first time. And then we went to the camp out, and by the time we got to the camp out, it was like we were all friends. It's
I've been
insane.
following a little bit of Sammy's content.
I love watching her. She makes the best camp out videos, and she hasn't put one up in a while, obviously because she's in Ohio, but it's cool. And she likes steaks like me, rare, bloody rare.
There you go.
One thing I like about, and there's not many YouTubers that do this, but they show the reality of being on a motorcycle, the reality of working on your own motorcycle and making mistakes. Josh does it a lot. If you have a flat, that's part of the experience. Show that you had a flat. If you make an absolute screw up on the motorcycle working on it, show it. That's part of working on the motorcycle. Her two wheels. Or yeah, she does it too. I'm cold. I'm gonna stop. I can't do this. She's not a perfect person. She talks about her insecurities. It This last one she just did. She tried to do an iron butt, and she's thinking at the end of it, maybe I can't do an iron butt. Maybe it's too cold. And she pushed through and persevered. But as a watcher, what does that show me? It shows me I'm going to have doubt in my mind sometimes. I'm going to think I can't do something. It's okay to stop, but it also shows that it's absolutely possible to push through and finish. Look at um, Itchy Boots. How many times has she fell, flipped the bike over, and she just didn't cut that out and said, "Yeah, I had no problems. I rode all through Africa. I never flipped the bike over." She's shown where she couldn't get the bike up by herself, and the bike sat upside down in water for that one time for like 30 minutes. And by the time she got it flipped back up, the starter button was broke, and she had broken off another mirror, and that's almost become kind of a thing for her now. Anytime she has a bike, she breaks the mirrors off. But she shows all that stuff.
Yeah,
That's the real part of motorcycling. It's because you don't want to be surprised by this stuff.
my first 500-mile day, um, I had doubts. There was times where I was like, "This is really weighing on me. I don't know I can travel another mile." Oh, I do know, because I had every gas stop plotted out. I was like, the next gas stop's 36 miles. Maybe I can get to that. But at the same time, telling myself, "You're gonna be fine. It's fine. The bike's handling great. You're doing great. just get to that next gas stop, and trying to break that own doubt in my own mind. Um, I think is part of that challenge. Can you rise to that challenge of getting past that? And when you do, it gives you the strength to tackle the next one.
Yeah, really, it really does. I don't want to say build your self confidence because A, that's cliche, and B, that doesn't even come nearly close enough to describing it. It's more like it teaches you that your capabilities are vast. You know,
Yep.
you might, and here's the thing: the first time you try it, yeah, you might fail. Failure is totally an option with a lot of those things. It's all part of the learning process. But you do have the capability to reach that goal, no matter how ridiculous it seems. That's one of the things like doing a lot of these long trips has taught me. And like especially recently when I've been having a lot of issues with self doubt and oh my god, can I do this? That's what I think back to is like we were able to do like all this crazy stuff. Like yeah, it might not work when you try this next thing, but it is possible. You can accomplish it. And then yeah, one of the things I tell what gets me through all those long trips and what I always tell people looking to go on them is like, yeah, you don't do 1,000 mile trip. You just do 10 100 mile trips all in a row. That's
Nice.
that's exactly that's how you got to do it. You're not riding 1,000 miles. You're just going 100 miles at a time. Next gas stop, next 100 miles. That's all you got to do. You can do that for days on end.
Well,
And
see, I'm.
there's
Go ahead, Rainey.
there's times it's going to come naturally, and there's times it's going to be forced. I've rode to Florida. When I went down this last time in October, it was I had been up all day, didn't get much sleep. I got like an hour of sleep before I left. And normally when I go down, I stop for about 10, 15 minutes at a time, jump on the bike, run off. Next time I might only stop and get something to drink, gas up, and haul butt again. That time I was having to take 20, 30-minute stops because I was so tired, and I knew I had to get off the bike. I had to let my blood flow for a little bit. I had to wake myself back up. So instead of it taking cumulatively 14 hours to drive down, it took me 16 hours to drive down. But you know what? I still made it down. And on the way back,
Yeah.
I had plenty of rest, and it only took me 14 hours to get back, like it normally would. Take a break every once in a while. Sometimes it's like it. Sometimes it's gonna be normal. Sometimes it's gonna be, yeah, jump off quick, get a drink, take a pee, jump back on the bike. And sometimes it's gonna be, I need to make more of this. I need to be smarter about this. And if you can't make it, you can't make it.
Well, so I scheduled my time off in such a way that I have 2 days before the event and 2 days after the event. Now, what that allows me to do is 500 miles a day, breaking up the 1,439 miles to Forgotten Angels. Because I've done a 500-mile day. I know what that's like. I know I've tackled that before. Anything extra is gravy. Now, I know some of you guys intend to be down there Thursday. I'm not going to push myself to a point where I'm like, this isn't safe, but I don't see any reason why not to try to shoot for more than I have planned. If I can knock out 700 in a day or something, I'm going to go for it because ultimately I don't give a shit where I stop for the night. We live in America. There's hotels everywhere. You know, so along the way, that's not so much of a concern. But I'm really excited to see can I get past what currently is my personal best of a 500-mile day and hit something more, and maybe even get there sooner and have more time with you guys.
Yeah, just do what you can. So funny you mentioned that breaking it up. I remember watching this person who had done a few iron butts, and she had a hair to do the 48 in 10 challenge, where you do all 48 states in 10 days. And she's like, this shouldn't be a problem because I've done like 5 iron butts. I'll just do like 1,000 miles every day, and I'll have this done in 8 days. And not realizing that, and she talked about this like into like the second or third day of riding. She goes, I kind of forgot that after I did my iron butt, I slept for like almost 2 days straight. But when you're trying to make it across America in 10 days, you can't do that. So there were times that she was only sleeping like 4 hours a night trying to make this thing. And toward the end, she was like, yeah, I can't do this. I gotta be smarter about this. So she got
Who was
smarter about her rest breaks and her, she's a girl from Wisconsin. Um, with Mesa,
Hmm.
but she had done some iron butts and thought, yeah, I can do iron butts. I can do this. I'll just do iron butts back to back, and that absolutely was not how it happened. She had to be a whole lot smarter about it.
Yeah, Miles, take it out of you. What is it? As the magpie flies, Amanda. She has a video where she talks about doing 8,000 miles over I think 32 days or 34 days, but that includes like camping every night, sleeping,
Mm.
having a nice meal. She had some planning involved and time for recuperation along the way, and even then, her journey was difficult. Um, yeah, taking undertaking the big miles, I think they take it out of you.
Yeah,
That's
and it's something you work up to. It's not something you just go, oh, I think I'm going to ride 1,000 miles today. Blip, 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 blip. Just doesn't
that
happen
was
overnight.
my folly originally. Was I started riding and I was like, "Yep, I'm ready to hit the open road," and I had every bit of the courage to do so. My body was not ready to keep up.
The weirdest thing about long distance riding, and I've done this, is when you start forgetting to put your feet down when you stop, or you go into a gas pump and your legs don't move like you want them to because you haven't moved them in like an hour and a half. You got to put your
It's
feet
that
down,
roller skate
and it's
legs.
like, yeah,
Mhm.
I have, and that's very embarrassing when you're on a 950-pound bike that has another 100 pounds of gear on it when all of a sudden you can't hold it up anymore. That's a
Sure.
scary, scary thing. Or you go to put your feet down, and that's when you realize you're not on a level concrete. It's sloped, and you can't get the kickstand down, and your legs are numb. Things you find out about yourself. That's when you learn. I need to move my feet while I'm riding. While I'm riding, I need to push. I need to squeeze my legs. I need to extend my legs. I need to move my feet back and forth from the pegs to the floorboards to the passenger pegs. But that's things you learn. It's a learning experience. It is a journey. The riding itself is learning how to do it is a journey, and it's some of it's hard earned, and some of it you get to listen to other people and not know what it means until you actually have to do it, and then go, that's what they mean.
One of our commenters says FA is a no blue falcon zone. I'm sure what that means. The blue falcon wasn't that like that Air Force
No,
team?
BF. It's one of those words you can't say on here. But basically, treat everybody nice. Don't try to backdoor anybody. Blue Falcon is a military term for someone who will mess over a friend.
Oh, that doesn't sound very
If
nice
you
at
can put
all.
that into BF and treating your friends wrong. So yeah, just treat
Bad
everybody,
friends.
treat everybody nice.
Yeah. Well, we have the golden rule here, in the Midwest, where it's treat people as you want to be treated. It's a pretty easy rule to follow.
Yep. And there's also the platinum rule, which I try to follow now, which is treat people how they think they should be treated up to a point.
Sure.
Everyone doesn't want to be treated the same way. To them, it's equal. You would think treat everybody like you want to be treated, but some people want different things. Like Red Rider, I would think, well, everybody wants to be brought to the camp out and led around, and I'm going to bring you to this bar. I'm going to bring you to this restaurant. I'm going to bring you to, you know, Birds, but that's not what she wants. She wants to be led to her bike where she can rent it and drive back to the camp. She wants to be led to her tent where she can get in her tent and get some sleep. The next morning, she wants to go to breakfast, and then she wants to be left alone because she has her own plan of things to do. So
Sure.
you can't hold other people to your standards. You have to hold people to fair standards by far, but you need to treat people in a dignified manner, basically, no matter what it
Yeah.
is. You have to treat people in a dignified way.
Well, I try to treat people incredibly respectfully because I don't fit in everywhere, but I try to. um, and one of my favorite groups of people to interact with are the Amish. We have them here, and there's also an incredibly large Amish community down there in Florida. And I've thought about breaking away just to go down there and see what they're up to. And I know a couple Amish terms for like saying hello and stuff. And typically we don't mesh at all because I curse, which is a big no no, and then I'm covered in tattoos, and I sort of make the standard of, I don't know what the Amish might call godless or something, but they're riveting to me. The most interesting people, working hard, living their lives, and so any chance I get to interact with them, but you got to be incredibly respectful. I have to catch myself because I'll just be like, oh fuck that, you
Yeah,
and now we're not, you know,
yeah.
okay anymore. They're like, you got demons, get out of here. Yeah.
I have well, you're my so I have a friend who's very very Christian, and he didn't come from that background. He actually came from a recovery background,
Mm-hmm.
but he now is very Christian. He believes his salvation came from salvation, for real. So I forget sometimes when I'm around him, and I'll start to curse, and I'll pull it out. Oh, sorry, man. He goes, it's okay. I know we're still both human. He goes, I used to be human too, because of a joke, But people who are really Christian and do actually live, a fair life, understand that they can't hold people to their standards. They can hold themselves to that standards and try to be a good role model, and that's it. And I think there's a whole lot of truth to that. You're not going to drag anyone kicking and screaming. It's like when you try to feed something to a baby and they don't want it. And if you take a bite of it, they'll go, "Oh, that must be good. I want it too." That's how you have to treat life. You can't beat people to make them do what they don't want to do, but you can show them a right way to do it and show them that it won't kill them to do it.
It's interesting you mentioned recovery because you know my story, and I try to do stuff with people who are still in recovery or those who are still suffering. And usually, about once a year, I do a video devoted to addiction and recovery because that's part of my story. And a lot of the people I deal with, especially when I go to like meetings, um, it curse just as bad as any old sailor I've heard of. I
We're
mean,
trying to say
as well, I've just heard stories that sailors can curse, and then guys down on
sailors
them
can.
docks, when you smash your hand, there's only a few expletives that come to mind. It's the same with carpentry too. You smash your thumb with a hammer. There's one word that seems like if there's something larger than us, they pre-programmed us to say it. I'm not gonna
Is
because
it a French word?
it's founded under Constitution of something. I don't remember what, but it's yeah, you bam, hit your hand, word comes out. It goes hand in hand, it's biscuits and gravy.
Remind me at the camp out to tell you why they consider that a French word. Speaking French, excuse my
Oh,
French.
okay. I
So
gotta show Yankee something at the camp out because I'm really interested in your bear tattoo. I have a very large bear tattoo. I'm not gonna flash my chest on YouTube, but I'll have to show you my bear.
Yep. As I said, I don't have one yet, but that is an idea. So
Sammy's asking about the onesie ride. I think we're gonna do it again on Friday morning. That gives people time to get there Thursday, set up, and kind of recuperate a little bit, and then Friday morning, because Saturday morning's a big breakfast there. I don't want to miss the big breakfast again because I've missed it every time. So Friday would be a good time to make the onesie run to the scrambled egg, and then Saturday obviously is the big breakfast. I am going to try to again. There's places I want to go, but there's so much more going to happen at the campground this year at the camp out, and I want to be there for it because since it's
Yeah.
one, I think with the addition of the fee, I think we're going to have more dedicated people there. There's going to be less people there, but I think they're going to try to do more for us for that admission fee. And as people have said in the comments, $100 for a weekend of camping is nothing. And then you add to it that there's going to be free drinks and free food and entertainment. I remember the guys we went to Land Between Lakes with. Remember they went to um, TMMR. It was $120 for 2 days, no food, no drinks involved. They still had to buy their own food and drinks.
I travel a lot. I actually go do a lot of shows. I go to a lot of rock shows that I have to travel to. I go hiking with my buddy out in Colorado. And so one of the reasons I like hotels is continental breakfast because I try to be smart about how I use money or as smart as I can. And I have to say, even just for the food, not counting beer or entertainment, $100 for a weekend, that's great. That's a really good price for food to keep you alive during an event. I mean, you don't even have to worry about that. How great is that?
Yeah.
Because you can get really raked over the coals when it comes to food. I mean, catch a food truck at a live show. and they're charging $15 for a couple of street tacos. I mean, you're gonna feel abused after that food, you know.
Yeah, and they've been feeding us good every year. I mean, it's Matt Yankee in my line. I mean, there's been so much food there. I remember times when it was first starting, they didn't know that many people were going to be there, and Josh and David were going out and buying pizzas, and I don't mean like 5, 10 pizzas. They were buying 30, 40 pizzas,
Yep,
and
I remember
then
that particular year. They just kept bringing them in.
yeah, because it was, and then they had a lot of people donating stuff, but I mean, it was like they already feed us good as it is. So with this extra addition and having an actual fee, so yeah, was it Greg was asking about will there be a drop in participation or people showing up? I hope so, because there were a lot of people showing up that were taking advantage of the fact that it was free food and free entertainment and free drinks. There were people that were showing up that we didn't even know. The one year, Yank, I think you were there. I think it would have been 4 campouts ago. It was the one before the wedding. People were showing up that they didn't even know it was for Forgotten Angels. They said somebody out in town told them it was free beer, and there was going to be a concert that night. They showed up for the free beer and concert, and it said what they got was karaoke. So, and what's
Are you saying that people would not pay to see me sing Reba McEntire? I'm offended.
I would. No, even this last one? Somebody, we got there early. When we got there that Wednesday, there was no food, so people were talking about going out and going somewhere to eat. Cindy's like, "Well, I'll go get some bread and we'll buy some cheese and meat and stuff. We'll just make sandwiches for everybody." And when they came back, they had these long rolls, like hoagie type French bread rolls. They cut them up, made sandwiches. And after, putting out my tent, walking around in the dirt, trying to set people up, get people moving and stuff, helping out at the camp out, that food was good. But there were people that were complaining. They're like, all they're going to give us is sandwiches. This is it. I know they have grills back there. They can fire up something. They should at least make hamburgers. And it's like, this is free. What are you complaining about?
Right. I do remember that because you mentioned the pizzas. Yeah, that was that March one that was before the wedding in October. But they had a real issue that year because, yeah, they were trying to bring in as many as possible. They kept just bringing in 30, 40 pizzas in a whack. But people just kept grabbing entire pizzas themselves and just taking them back to their campsites and whatever. And just there wasn't. If you didn't get there within the first couple of minutes, I mean, everything was gone. That's why I remember after that they started having people actually serve out the food just to make sure it actually got portioned out. People just didn't take everything.
Yeah, and one of the servers was telling me at the last one they had turkey legs, and somebody kept trying to grab 2 turkey legs, and he's like, "No, we're breaking this up. This is for everybody." He's like, "Well, I'm not getting any potatoes or anything. I just want meat." Well, that sounds like a personal problem. Because you get enough meat for you, and if you don't want this other stuff, that doesn't mean you get the weight of your potatoes and your macaroni in turkey. It's not how it works.
Listen, you want only meat, you can have only meat. This is what you're getting.
There's a gator in the pond. Go catch it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can have that meat.
You know what? Be resourceful like my friend Shaker and go find a dead boar on the side of the road. It's Florida. There's one somewhere.
Well, I mean, the one thing I wanted at the last camp out was some of that sausage. But there were people in there that were taking whole links of the sausage, the big 9-inch, 12-inch links. And it's like that's for everybody, not just for you, because you don't want to share. And I don't know, man.
Yeah.
The one thing that got me last time, so I had bought a gallon of rum, and I put it up on the bar, and when I turned around, it was gone. I'm like, where'd the rum? I put it up on the bar for everybody to share. It was gone.
Where's the rum going?
I'm like, where did the rum go?
Sorry,
where's all the rum going? Yeah, I know.
Where's the rum going?
I was like, really? Somebody would actually come in here and grab an entire bottle of rum that wasn't theirs? I mean, that just pissed me off to no end. But I don't know. The long story short, yes, I hope it does knock down a lot of people that are coming just for free stuff. At least make people understand this is a charity event, not a free-for-all. What else we got in the camp out? Or what else we got in the comments? Anybody else had any good places they want to go? We'll close this out shortly because I said we're going to cut it off at 2 hours, but I'm having too much fun. I don't know about you guys.
Oh yeah,
Chad has been really good tonight. These guys are having their own little party over there. Yeah, Greg says the March 5 is different than October. Absolutely. And I think that's because it's colder in March and it keeps a lot of people away that are just there for vacation.
That's interesting. It's after Daytona Bike Week. Is that correct?
I think it's right before it, actually.
So
Or maybe
hopefully
it's after. I don't know.
hotels won't be too bad. I know I have an indefinite. However, I happen to know from something Josh said that there's always like 10 freaking tents on standby should someone need one that people have left at Forgotten Angels. So worst case scenario, I get there and I have to pitch a tent, and it's not too big a deal. I'm not too stressed about it. But I do wonder, is there any events going on nearby that I should worry about? Should I go to get a hotel room?
I'd say those hotels are always full, no matter what.
Yeah.
So if you don't get one in advance, I mean, I'd say sleep in a tent, man. You're from Iowa. I don't think the cold will bother you. It's going to get down to probably. I think that last time I got down to 60 at night in March. I think Kinky, wasn't it? It didn't get very cold.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it was like,
I remember. I think it was the first March one I went. It like got down to like the mid to high 50s, and I freaking loved it. Up here we call that sleeping weather. But everybody else was was freezing to death, and I will admit I thought that was very funny. So
yeah, the one weekend though, we went there one time and we were unprepared. It's like it's Florida. It's supposed to be like 60 at night. We were there and we woke up and it rained the night before. We woke up and we were freezing. So after that, we have our sleeping bags, but then we also would get blankets from Walmart because
Yep.
it needed because yeah, once the sun comes up, as soon as the sun comes up at 6 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden it's hot again.
Oh yeah.
You need it. You need that blanket from like 2 in the morning to like 6 in the morning, and then once the sun comes up, it's hot again. But yeah,
My plan to actually, sorry,
no, go ahead.
so my plan for this year actually is because usually between my bearskin and my blanket and my liner that I normally have, I'm not even gonna bring the sleeping bag right away. But when I get down there, obviously we'll check the weather again, see what it's supposed to be, and if it is gonna be like at least Florida chilly, then yeah, I'll run to the Walmart there and I'll just grab like a cheapo 50-degree sleeping bag, and then I'll happily donate that at the end of the weekend. They can just, like I said, like the tents, be there on standby. There's a ton of people. I mean, they do it with all kinds of gear: the tents, the bags, the shampoo that doesn't get used.
Yeah. And I'm also gonna try to get soaps again this year for the campers because they work for a soap company. Last year, at the last minute, they shut me down, but I've been assured this time they'll let me get the travel size soaps to bring down. So however many I can pack on the bike, I'll bring them down.
Well, and then I heard you and Parker the Coyote are the on-site medics.
Mm-hmm. And yep, we run the boo boo unit.
That's what it was.
Because at least once, last time we had 3 or 4, but at least one person gets burnt every time. And it's usually because some drunk girl in booty shorts slides off the bike and burns her butt or the back of her leg or something. So hopefully this time.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's the same thing as always. Wear your gear. And if you're on an adventure bike or you're on one of these little Coleman scooters with the freaking coffee can size exhaust, wear pants because they're not kind to you at all. I get it. Everybody wants to be free and hang their legs in the wind or something. But the one girl was so drunk, she didn't realize she was sitting on the muffler on the Coleman scooter and actually burnt a burn on her butt this big. So by the time they found me, she had a blister on the back of her leg, like up her hamstring and up through her booty. The other girl didn't feel it because she has a nerve injury and actually burnt all the way down to the meat on her leg. So it was, wear your pants, people. That's all I'm gonna say. If you're drunk and get on a bike, number one, if you're drunk, don't get on a bike. But if you get on as a passenger, wear pants.
This is a whole new genre you're exposing me to. Because instead of true crime, I could do like true bike events.
True bike events.
True stories.
True injuries.
Bike events. Yeah, true injuries.
True wounds.
Yeah.
Call it.
In Tampa, a drunk thought gets on the back of an adventure bike, not knowing that the muffler is 600 degrees.
Yeah. In the year 2024,
yeah.
a bike event took place.
On next week episode.
The unsub.
On next week's episode, we go to Land Between the Lakes, where a drunk man believed he was going to fish with a treble hook.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Back to you, Rady.
That's probably my best one so far.
Yeah, I'll never forget that story.
Oh God, I wish I could forget it. Thanks.
So you wish you could. I'm not gonna let you. I am that kind of a-hole.
Well, the worst thing about that, again, and that's another story about these campouts and going out, go with people you trust. Because that's when you find out who your friends are. Because this dude had a treble hook, through his knuckle into his nail, and then you can see the hook. You see the hook sticking out of his fingernail. None of his friends wanted to go with him to the hospital because they were having too much fun. And I'm like, well, I just treated him. I stabilized the hook, but I'm not bringing him to the hospital because he's your guy's problem. I mean, and that was none of them wanted to bring him. The only reason somebody brought him was the one girl was pregnant and couldn't drink. So number one, always have a designated driver, but two, don't go with people who won't. The bad thing was they dropped him off at the hospital and then left.
Jeez.
I tell my daughter. So when I was working security on the base here, we got reports of a gunshot and screaming. When we got there, couldn't find anybody, but there was tons of blood on the ground. Never found a person, couldn't find casings, couldn't find anything. But I could tell it was very fresh blood. It was a lot. So we didn't find anything on the golf course, didn't find anything up at the clubhouse or whatever. So they're like, well, we'll keep an eye open. We'll do a search. Every time we could do a patrol, we'll get out and do an actual foot search around the lake or whatever. Never found anything. The next morning, about 4 or 5 miles up the road in the county camping area, there was a guy dead in a ditch. His friends, and what they found out was his friends were playing around with the gun up at the golf course. They were all drunk. One of them shot the other one, and then they freaked out, and they were going to try to get him to the hospital. And on the way to the hospital, he died. So none of them wanted to get in trouble, so they threw him out in a park.
Oh, geez.
That was his friends.
Jeez.
They'd been friends since junior high, and they threw him out in a ditch because they didn't want to get in trouble. That's when you find out who your real friends are.
Yeah.
The other thing I will say on this, I like you guys know me, I like fishing. I like guns. I like knives. I like motorcycles. I like booze, as you can tell. But once the booze comes out, and especially once you get into it, put the other stuff away.
Put up the fishing hook.
Just go do that before. You can do them both in the same day, actually. You just do the other stuff first, and then, once you're done with that for the night, then, have your drinks and have your fun. But, alcohol is a common factor in a lot of these situations we find.
Yes. So in the military, we've got a couple military guys in the chat. We do this thing in the military called the Summary of Mishaps. And they'll talk about something that happened, and then talk about all the things that went wrong and that contributed to the accident. Yeah. And in the one with the fishing hook, I keep remembering the dude in the car saying, well, I can drive myself. I'm not that high. I only smoked one joint. And I'm like, there's your problem. And his other friend in the car was like, I'm too drunk. I can't drive. And it's like, what about all these other people? I'm not going, man. He did it to himself. He can take himself. And I'm like, so literally this dude's going to drive himself to the hospital. He goes, I'm fine. I can drive. And I'm like, you're fine now. Once the shock wears off, you're probably going to pass out and go in the ditch. And all of you remember this dude's hands were like snow white. He was in shock. The only thing keeping this dude going was adrenaline. And the girl who faked being a nurse said that on the way to the hospital, he did pass out. So luckily, I did wrap everything up where he couldn't stab himself again with the hook. So otherwise, he would have probably hooked himself somewhere else on his body. But I don't know, man. People are dumb. What are you going to do?
Oh, that reminds me. Another tool I want to pack. I got this Gerber multi-tool. You can just throw it in the saddlebag. It'll be great. Just in case.
Always bring tools. Always bring up Gerber tools are great, but also bring some whatever your standard wrenches are. 9/16, half-inch metrics.
But I forgot. I bought a Gerber a while back. It was a specialty one. This one's almost like vice grips, and I wanted to add that as a nice little addition to my toolkit, just as sort of a supplemental.
Speaking of which, there is going to be a Cog in the Wheel dress-up lookalike contest. Cog was going to judge it, but he won't be there. So if you guys have a cog in the wheel costume, which consists of cut off jeans that are cut way up to your butt till your butt hangs out, and some kind of Hawaiian shirt, make sure you wear it.
Didn't he have a hat too, or am I misremembering that?
He
Yeah,
wears
he
a
had a
hat
hat.
sometimes.
It's like
And-
zero F given.
Yeah,
Right.
and the glasses came on and off, being how I felt, but yeah, it's gonna be fun.
There is a fourth item that might sometimes be included in that. I will not say what it is openly, but if you know, you know.
Not around
and
Cindy.
I'm just and that exactly. But that's what I'm
No.
saying is you cannot do that one anymore. We have been
No,
politely informed that that's not a feature going forward. But yes.
yeah, we're gonna skip that one, but.
Yeah.
Yes, Davis and Dan. So yes, I do. I have a compression tent sack. So yeah, it works a lot better than a duffel bag. So
You should see a doctor about that.
yeah. Hold up tight.
Sorry.
All right. We got anything else?
Yeah, I
Any
do.
comments? So after this, I cannot remember the one that Angel kept asking us to go to. Let me look up this dude's Critter. Something Critter. I told her I would do a call out. So let me find it real quick. Critter Moto, Critter_Moto has a stream going on if you guys want to join. And then Sunday night, I have a very big interview, and I'm so happy to have got it. Captain Anna. It'll be interviewing Captain Anna Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central. So if you guys would love to step into that, I would love to have you. So with that, we've already gone longer than I wanted to, but I've loved having you guys on. So closing thoughts. Bleak.
Yeah, I just hope everyone who's going to FA this year has a good, safe trip. I hope to get to meet you all there. Go check out Bleak Rides if you're into the strange, dark, and unusual. And I'll turn it over to Rainey.
And I'll turn it over to Mad Yankee. Closing thoughts.
Well, no matter if you're going to the camp out, no matter if you think you're 10 miles from home, or 3,000 miles from home, or 100 miles from home, or 6,000 miles from home, or 60 miles from home, if you come there with an open heart, you're going to be dead wrong on all of those counts because you are home.
Oh yeah, it's nothing like I ever. And I keep saying this. You go to these other campouts, you might make a couple of friends. You will make friends with everyone you meet. You'll make so many friends you won't even remember probably half of their names. And I say that because in reality, I forget people's names when I come back that I meet, and I have to re-remember it. That's why I keep doing these, these shout outs. It's because there's just so many people there. It's great people, and through no fault of their own or my, I don't know, my incompetence, maybe I forget people's names because literally you meet another 200 people every time you go down there, and it's hard to remember them all. So if you're out there and you see me, come up and say hi, and don't be offended if I can't remember your name. That's just how things are. Like so, Trucker 2 times when I went to meet him, I didn't know who he was because from his profile picture, he looked like a really tall guy that was heavy set, because that's his profile picture. And when I met him, he's a thinner guy, and I didn't know who he was. And once I know who he was, now I know who he is. But come up to me and tell me who you are, and just say hello and ask for a sticker. Because I have stickers and I forget to pass them out sometimes, especially if I have been drinking of the wheat and barley. So make sure you ask for it. So, like always, if you can be anything, be kind. And one of my favorite shows on YouTube I've been watching is the Y-Files. And he always closes with, be kind and know that you're appreciated, and try to be a better person. With that, we'll close out. Thanks for coming, everybody, and I will see you Sunday night if you choose to show up. You guys can stay on. We'll have closing comments on ourselves.